Chapter 141. Dozens of people from the white-robed divine cult began to conduct a carpet search of the Yuan base. After searching for most of the day, not a single person was seen. Protector Xiao, all the people in the Yuan base have been transferred away. Envoy Li Bingmei, the cultist who was reporting, did not dare to continue speaking when he saw the Guardian's murderous eyes. Xiao Tianlong looked at the empty base with anger in his eyes. Li Bing was sent by him. The Yuan base was just a small base with only one superpower in it. Originally, he thought that sending 3 superpowers and dozens of acquired superpowers would be a piece of cake to take down this small base. Unexpectedly, this matter completely exceeded his expectations. Not only did 2 people die, but more than a dozen people were missing. Could there be a hidden strongman in this base? If so, Li Bing might be in real danger. He knew Li Bing's strength very well. He was very fast, and few people could escape his sneak attack. Even when facing a superpowered person, he could easily escape with his lightning speed. Being able to kill Li Bing means that this person has either reached the king level or is faster than Li Bing. Either way, it is very troublesome to deal with. Xiao Tianlong's expression under the mask was extremely ugly. This time, their white-clothes divine sect suffered heavy losses when they entered Shanjing City for the first time. If the snow god knew about this, he would definitely be severely punished. He must find the whereabouts of the Yuan base. Otherwise, not only will the reputation of the white-clothes divine sect be humiliated, but he will also suffer. Xiao Tianlong and several messengers under his command began to look for clues. All the materials in the entire base have been transferred, leaving only a pile of useless rags. Xiao Tianlong came outside to check and found a pile of messy footprints. The footprints continued to the distance. Xiao Tianlong immediately ordered the psychic next to him. They must be carrying supplies. There are so many of them, so they can't walk fast. Gather everyone and chase them. Yes, Protector. The psychic standing beside him immediately gathered people and searched in the direction of the footprints. While they were still searching hard, Ling Feng and the people from Yuan base had safely arrived at the God of War base. Ling Feng found Ma Wu and gave him full authority to handle the follow-up arrangements of Yuan base. Ling Feng took Du Yibai to visit various places in the God of War base. Du Yibai looked at the facilities of the God of War base and was shocked. Both the scale and defense level here far exceeded her base. And there are powerful thermal weapons here. Not only that, their God of War brigade, all of them are from special forces, and they are extraordinary and powerful. After the visit, Ling Feng took Du Yibai back to the base management center. This was originally Zhang Erge's private residence, but Ling Feng turned it into a management center. The core management personnel of the base, the laboratory, the future office and residence are all arranged here. The original office of the leader of the shelter remains unchanged, and this will also be Ling Feng's office in the future. In the room next to Ling Feng set up another office, which was specially set up for Du Yibai. This is your future office location. In the future, you will be responsible for everything in the base except military affairs, Ling Feng said while sitting on the sofa in the office. Du Yibai looked at the office, which was about 50 square meters in area, and the furniture and desks inside were all high-end furniture. The temperature inside was also very comfortable, and the thermometer on the wall showed 20 degrees. She couldn't believe that she could still have such a comfortable environment in the end of the world. Such an important position. You just assign it to me so casually. Du Yibai looked at Ling Feng and said with a smile, I believe you can do it well. This position belongs to you. Ling Feng said seriously. Basically, we have seen enough. Let's go and have dinner together. I asked my wife to prepare a table of delicious dishes for you to welcome you, and I will introduce other managers in the base to you. The smile on Du Yibai's face suddenly stagnated. Hearing Ling Feng talking about his wife, she felt a little bitter and a little lost. The feelings buried in his heart can only be hidden by him. Ling Feng took Du Yibai back to the villa, and Lin Su was busy in the kitchen. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Lin Su came out to check and saw Du Yibai with a delicate face. A trace of vigilance flashed in Lin Su's eyes. Ling Feng told him today that he had found a superpower who was powerful and was going to let her manage management base. She hadn't cared about it at first, but she didn't expect that she was so beautiful. Du Yibai also saw the beautiful Lin Su and couldn't help comparing herself with her. There was a hint of gunpowder in the eyes of the two people looking at each other. Ling Feng, who was standing between the two, didn't find anything unusual and introduced each other with a smile. "Wife, this is Du Yibai, the superpower I invited here today to help manage the base in the future. This is Lin Su, my wife." Both of them smiled and greeted each other. "Hello, I'm Du Yibai. Please take care of me in the future. My name is Lin Su. We are all members of the same team in the future, and we will help each other." The two shook hands and looked at each other, and sparks flew instantly. "Sit down for a while. I still have rice in the pot," Lin Su said with a smile, and then went back to the kitchen. The core personnel in the base also came one after another. Wang Long, Ma Wu, Zhang Yin, and Zhang Ning were all present. Wang Long had never taken his eyes off Du Yibai since he saw her. He went up to greet her. "See you again, beautiful ladies." Du Yibai gave a professional smile and replied perfunctorily, "Hello." Then she ignored him. Wang Long had looked at her with a wretched expression before, and she still remembered it clearly. Lin Su brought all the dishes to the table. She told everyone to prepare for dinner. Du Yibai looked at the table full of delicacies from land and sea and quietly swallowed her saliva. Not only him, but everyone else besides Wang Long was also drooling. This table of dishes, even before the end of the world, was not something that ordinary people could afford. Japanese wagyu, Australian lobster, Iberian ham, champagne crab, bluefin tuna, etc. All of them were expensive ingredients. Du Yibai looked at the table full of ingredients and thought about the dishes she had treated Ling Feng to at noon today, which were simply garbage. Ling Feng generously took out a box of black Moutai, which made Wang Long's eyes light up. Ling Feng introduced them to each other and started today's dinner. After a few glasses of wine, the atmosphere at the table became more and more lively. At this moment, they had no idea that a group of people were quietly lurking towards the god of war base. Chapter 142. Xiao Tianlong led his soldiers, and after several hours of searching, they finally found the location of the god of war base based on the footprints left at the scene. Xiao Tianlong looked at the two villas standing on the snow in the distance. Incompatible with the surrounding environment, there is an entrance to an underground shelter behind the villa. This strange combination of buildings was the first time he saw it. He couldn't help but be curious about the base in front of him. "Protector, should we go in directly?" Tianlong narrowed his eyes slightly and said in a deep voice, "Don't act rashly." The other party dared to build a villa blatantly at the forefront of the base and must be very confident in their own strength. "Retreat first. I have to ask the great snow god for this matter, and he will make the decision." Xiao Tianlong led his subordinates to retreat slowly and very carefully cleared his traces. Little did he know that their every move had already been mastered by the secret sentry of the god of war brigade. Wang Long, who was eating, looked at the message on his mobile phone and sneered. "What's wrong?" Ling Feng, who was standing by, noticed that Wang Long's expression was a little off. Wang Long then handed Ling Feng the intelligence from the sentry. Ling Feng looked at the information and immediately guessed the origin of this group of people. "White Robe Divine Cult." Ling Feng muttered. "White Robe Divine Cult? Are they here?" Du Yibai, who was eating, changed his expression and quickly put down the Australian lobster in his hand. "It's only a matter of time before they come. Don't panic. Just destroy them when they come." Ling Feng's tone was casual. "What's the origin of this white robe divine cult?" Ma Wu asked expressionlessly. Du Yibai said with a serious expression, "This white robe divine religion is a religious base that has emerged recently. The leader of their base regards himself as the snow god. It is said that this snow god is a god who has descended to the world. His divine gift can awaken people's superpowers with a wave of his hand, and can also control people's life and death. The followers of the white robe divine religion have reached a fanatical level of worship for this snow god. If the snow god wants them to die, they will not hesitate to cut their necks. This white-robed divine religion has absorbed a large number of followers in a very short period of time, and its strength is even the best in Suzhou and Hangzhou. Listening to Du Yibai's introduction to the white-robed divine religion, everyone present couldn't help but take a breath. Everyone looked ugly, and people can have superpowers. Are there really gods in this world? Wang Long asked subconsciously. Bullshit gods. Ling Feng shouted loudly. Ling Feng looked at the expressions on everyone's faces and seemed to be a little afraid, and couldn't help but become stern in his tone. There are no gods in this world. This white god cult is clearly a cult organization that pretends to be a god. It has mastered some supernatural people through brainwashing. It's not that mysterious. Even if he is a god, if he dares to come, then kill him. Lin Su couldn't help but see stars in her eyes when she heard Ling Feng's domineering remarks. This is a real man. Others were also encouraged by Ling Feng's words, and the fear in their hearts disappeared without a trace. Fengzi, what should we do next? Wang Long looked at Ling Feng and asked. Ling Feng thought for a moment and said with a smile, increase the number of secret sentries and reduce the number of open sentries. On all the necessary roads, lay traps, and arrange all those explosives in mines. Also, let the new soldiers inject the King of Soldiers serum as soon as possible to form combat effectiveness. Wang Long, you arrange these things, and the fortifications must be built as soon as possible. It won't be long before our enemies arrive. We must be fully prepared. This task will be handed over to you two brothers, Zhang En and Zhang Ning. Ling Feng looked at Ma Wu and said seriously, the arsenal at our base will also start to move. Although thermal weapons are not a big threat to superpowers, they are still very effective for ordinary people. Old Ma, this task will be handed over to you. Ling Feng made arrangements and explained clearly the business that everyone was responsible for. This welcoming banquet was also coming to an end. Ling Feng left Ma Wu and Du Yibai alone. Ling Feng took them to the training room. Ling Feng first took out a gene serum and handed it to Ma Wu. Old Ma, as the deputy captain of the God of War Brigade, the 100-fold serum is not enough. This one is a 10,000-fold serum. You should inject it as soon as possible and improve your strength as soon as possible. Ma Wu was shocked when she looked at the serum in her hand. When she took out the previous King of Soldier serum, she had already subverted her cognition. Unexpectedly, another 10,000-fold serum came out today. 10,000 times. What kind of concept is this? Ma Wu looked a little excited. The hand holding the serum was shaking a little. Chief Ma Wu, who has always been honest and loyal, was so excited that he couldn't speak. Ling Feng patted his shoulder with a smile. Don't be excited, there's more. He took out another inner pill and a super energy ore and handed them to Ma Wu. Break through to 1,000 as soon as possible, so that the combat power of our foundation can be greatly improved. Ma Wu nodded heavily. Du Yibai, who was standing aside, had already been stunned by shock. Everything Ling Feng took out was something she had never heard of, but it sounded very powerful. Ling Feng looked at Du Yibai and also took out a piece of ore, an inner pill, and handed it to her. After you absorb these two things, you should be able to reach the level of a superpower user. This inner pill can give you the super speed of superpowers, so that your shortcomings can be made up in the future. The inner pill given to Du Yibai was the crystal taken from Li Bing. With this ability, her lethality on the battlefield will be further improved, and she will become a feared existence for the enemy. You too should improve your strength here. Ma Wu and Du Yibai no longer hesitated, and began to sit cross-legged to improve their strength. Ling Feng also found a place to sit down, thinking about the next development of the base. At present, there are still many enemies facing him, and each strength should not be underestimated. His biggest advantage is the sufficient material reserves and serum. As long as the troops in his hands quickly form combat effectiveness, he will not be afraid of anyone. His own strength should also be improved. He now has 4 super energy ores and 6 top-grade inner pills. He is not going to use the ores, and will keep them to reward his subordinates in the future. The inner pills can be used. Anyway, it won't be long before more people will come to give him inner pills. Thinking of this, Ling Feng took out 6 top-grade inner pills and stuffed them all into his mouth. Anyway, he is now powerful, and he is not afraid of bursting his body with too much energy in his body. Ling Feng felt that his body began to slowly change after reaching 4,000 times, but he couldn't tell why. Ling Feng estimated that after his strength broke through 5,000 times, the changes would be more obvious. Chapter 143. A large underground air raid shelter in Suzhou and Hangzhou. In a small square, dozens of powerful superpowers gathered. Each of them was dressed in white and had a solemn look on their faces. In front of the dozens of superpowers was a 2-meter-high platform, with a blurred statue on each side of the platform. In the middle of the platform was a golden chair, on which sat a man wearing a white mask, exuding a sacred aura. On the left and right sides of the man stood a man and a woman. They were also wearing masks. Meet His Majesty the Snow God. A group of superpowers knelt down and bowed to the man on the platform. Get up! The solemn voice of the Snow God came from above. The superpowers got the Snow God's will and stood up, respectfully standing below. Are there any difficulties that I need to deal with recently? Your Majesty, the missionary work in Suzhou and Hangzhou has been completed. 15 bases in Suzhou and Hangzhou admire your divine power and have chosen to join the divine religion. A superpower standing in the front said excitedly. King Yi has made great contributions and completed this mission very well. Others should follow the example of Guardian Yi. Snow God said in a low voice. Your Majesty, Guardian Xiao, who we sent to Shangjing City to preach this time, encountered some troubles. A superpower standing in the front said with a somewhat indignant tone. Oh, King Gu, what's going on? Snow God asked curiously. Gu Qing organized his words and said slowly. According to the report of Xiao Hufa, who was sent to Shangjing City this time, our team of more than 30 people and 3 messengers encountered resistance from the pagans and died bravely. Xiao Hufa found the hiding place of the pagans based on the clues at the scene, but the opponent's strength is not weak. Xiao Hufa is still collecting intelligence on the opponent. After Gu Qing finished speaking, he looked at the Snow God with some fear. After all, the loss this time was not small. As the first person responsible, he would inevitably be punished. On the high platform, the Snow God did not speak, and I don't know what he was thinking. After a while, the calm voice came again. It seems that the strength of Shangjing City is much higher than we thought. By the way, our saint and bishop are from Shangjing City. As soon as the Snow God said this, the man and woman standing on both sides of him immediately turned around and saluted him. Report to the Snow God. I am indeed from a place called Hujia Village in Shangjing City. Hu Tianxi said respectfully. After he awakened his superpowers, he followed Long how to attack Ling Feng's villa, but failed. He fled all the way to Suzhou and Hangzhou, successfully joined the White Clothes divine religion, and gradually became a bishop with his powerful superpowers. His status in the church is second only to the Snow God and equal to that of the saint. After coming to the divine religion, he has been accumulating strength in order to defeat Ling Feng and avenge his grandfather and the villagers who died in Hujiazwang. Your Majesty, the Snow God, I am also from Shangjing City, but I prefer Suzhou and Hangzhou now. It is my greatest honor to follow you, the Snow God. The saint also spoke. Yeah. The Snow God nodded. He was very satisfied with the saint's words. Looking at the saint's graceful figure, his appreciation for her became even stronger. Let Xiao the Guardian investigate the other party situation. Intelligence is king. Don't rush to use force. You, Gu Tianwang, should continue to follow up on this matter. Yes, Snow God. Gu Qing was full of relief. Fortunately, Snow God did not blame him today. Otherwise, he would have been beaten up today. Does anyone else have anything to say? If not, please leave. Snow God glanced at everyone and said. Everyone bowed and left the square. Only Snow God was left in the huge square. The bishop and the saint. Snow God glanced at the saint and said lightly, "Saint, come to my palace later. I have something to tell you." There was a trace of struggle in the saint's eyes, but she finally bowed and answered, "Yes, Snow God." Hu Tianxi, who was standing aside, listened to Snow God's words, and his fists hidden under his white robe were clenched tightly. This so-called saint was actually picked up by him from a snowy field a few days ago. Her name is Yang Zihan. Hu Tianxi fell deeply in love with her at the first sight. Hu Tianxi brought Yang Zihan back to the divine religion. After careful care, they fell in love with each other. They established a relationship on the same day. Hu Tianxi's originally dead heart became lively because of this woman. But he never expected that by chance. The snow god saw Yang Zihan and learned that Yang Zihan was also a superpower. After that, the snow god directly promoted Yang Zihan to the holy maiden of the god cult. Since becoming the holy maiden, the snow god would ask Yang Zihan to go to his palace every night. As for what to do, anyone with normal IQ can figure it out. Hu Tianxi watched his girlfriend suffer humiliation every day. His heart was broken. The green grassland above his head made him slowly turn his respect for the snow god from the beginning to resentment. He has been waiting for an opportunity. He wants to completely control this god cult and become a real snow god. He who can control ice and snow is the real snow god. While he was thinking, Yang Zihan glanced at him, her eyes full of grievance and sadness, and then followed the snow god away. "Zihan, don't worry. I will definitely save you. Wait for me." Hu Tianxi swore secretly in his heart. In the snow god's palace, Yang Zihan sat on the sofa opposite the snow god with a charming look on her face. She took off her mask and revealed the face that made men's blood boil. Yang Zihan looked at the snow god opposite. Although he was wearing a mask, his fiery eyes could not be hidden. She sneered in her heart. What if he is a god? Facing me, he is still the same as an ordinary person. I can play you around with a little effort. That Hu Tianxi may be worried about me now. He is really innocent. The snow god looked at the woman in front of him and exclaimed in his heart that she was a monster. I didn't expect that I could eat so well. He couldn't wait to pounce on Yang Zihan. Qingzhou Lu family base. Lu Guanyu held a blood-red potion in his hand and laughed crazily. It's done, I'm done, huh?" A group of researchers in white coats beside him also smiled. The Zhu serum they have been researching for many years has finally succeeded. Once it is put into use, the strength of their Lu family will be greatly improved. Who can resist an army composed of hundreds of superpowers? Chapter 144. Jinling Kai Family. Today, the Kai family is unusually lively. The Kai family's manor is filled with more than 100 powerful psychics. Psychics that are rarely seen on weekdays can be seen everywhere in the Kai family today. Even more than a dozen super psychics have come. In the Kai family's reception room, for psychics with strong auras are sitting. Each of them has a majestic expression and looks domineering. These four people are the helmsmen of the Qingzhou Lu family, the Jinling Kai family, and the Storm Base. It can be said that any one of them who goes out is a super powerful force in control of one side. There is also a person who actually sat directly in the main seat. Even the helmsmen of several major forces are here, and they have no objection at all. It can be seen that this person's status is far above the other three. This person is the senior section chief of the Dragon Slayer Society, Ito Musashi, and he is also the only king-level psychic in the field. Although Ito Musashi looks ugly and wretched, and is less than 1.6 meters tall, his aura far exceeds that of others. Ito Musashi closed his eyes slightly, looking like he was asleep. But the others present did not dare to act rashly, and sat quietly like obedient children. After a while, Ito slowly opened his eyes and scanned the area with his sharp eyes. Everyone he saw lowered their heads involuntarily, not daring to look him in the face. I invited you all here this time to talk about establishing an alliance. In recent times, each of your bases has suffered varying degrees of losses, and the murderer is still at large. So I suggest that you three major forces establish an alliance to jointly resist the opponent. The leaders of the major bases looked different when they heard this, and Qin Gengyan of the storm base frowned. He said in a somewhat unfriendly tone, "Since Mr. Ito said that we want to form an alliance, how exactly do we form an alliance?" Ito smiled slightly and said casually, "It's very simple. The three families become a whole. They no longer act independently, but support each other. This will also be good for your three families. Since it is a whole, how should we decide on some specific matters?" Chen Gengyan continued to ask. "The alliance elects a leader to handle the decisions of the alliance, big or small." "I disagree. My storm base will never participate." Chen Gengyan's expression moved slightly, and he immediately refused verbally. Ito looked at Chen Gengyan with a sneer on his lips and said in a cold tone, "I disagree. Then you can't leave this room." Chen Gengyan sneered. "What? Do you still want to attack me, Master Kai? Do you want to go to war with my storm base?" After speaking, Chen Gengyan blew a whistle, and in just a few seconds, dozens of superpowers broke into the room, looking at everyone in the room with a fierce face. Kai Haonan stood up hurriedly and came to Chen Gengyan with a smile. "Brother Chen, don't be so impulsive. This is also a good thing. Mr. Ito is also considering our families, right?" Lu Nung, who had been sitting at the table without speaking, looked like he had nothing to do with it. He had already reached an agreement with the Kai family. Even if it was an alliance, his Lu family had a high degree of autonomy. He had the right to allocate resources and superpowers. This alliance was simply to weaken the strength of the storm base. Chen Gengyan was eccentric and did things in a high-profile manner. The Lu and Kai families had been resentful of the storm base for a long time. The death of his Lu family's superpowers in the mine was likely related to the storm base. However, the strength of the storm base was very strong, and the two families did not dare to let go easily. But today there was a king-level superpower to support them, so they naturally had to attack Chen Gengyan. Chen Gengyan looked at the expressions of the crowd and immediately realized that they were coming for him today. "Alliance, you can do whatever you want. I won't get involved anyway." After saying that, he was about to leave with a group of psychic subordinates. Kai Haonan sneered at Chen Gengyan's back as he left. The next second, bang! Chen Gengyan's figure was blown away without any warning. His body smashed several doors and windows, and finally stopped when it hit the concrete wall. This sudden scene shocked everyone present. They didn't even see who had made the move, and Chen Gengyan was blown away. At this time, Chen Gengyan was covered in blood. Under the blow, just now, several ribs on his back were broken, and his internal organs were displaced. At this time, Ito slowly stood up and walked to Chen Gengyan's side with a casual step. Chen sang, "Why are you doing this? If you cooperate well, you don't have to suffer this physical pain," Ito said with pity. Chen Gengyan's heart was shocked. Is this the strength of a king-level superpower? It's really powerful. I don't have the slightest power to fight back. Chen Gengyan struggled to stand up. His face was extremely ugly. Looking at Ito's arrogant look, the anger in his heart completely broke out. "Damn it, die!" Chen Gengyan came to Ito's side in an instant, and his two strong arms were instantly covered with spikes. The spikes shone coldly under the light. He raised his fist and brought up a burst of fist wind and smashed it hard on Ito's head. Ito stood in place, with his hands behind his back. Facing Chen Gengyan's full-strength attack, his expression was still relaxed and calm. Just when Chen Gengyan's fist was about to hit his head, Ito stretched out a hand slowly, easily blocked his fist, as if he didn't use any force. Chen Gengyan's figure retreated instantly, and finally fell to the ground unsteadily. He looked at Ito in disbelief. His full-strength attack was blocked by the opponent casually. Ito looked at him with a sneer and said in a cold tone, "If you don't accept my toast, you will be punished. Since you are looking for death, don't blame me." He slapped his palm, and Chen Gengyan's head was smashed into pieces in horror. The superpowers in the storm base in the distance looked at this scene with fear. The master of their base is dead. A superpower was killed so casually. Ito turned his head and looked at them, saying threateningly, Do you choose to surrender or be like him? The superpowers in the storm base were struggling, and when they were hesitating, Ito instantly came to one of them and slapped him casually. The superpower who was still alive just now was instantly slapped to death. I surrender. I surrender too. The remaining superpowers could no longer bear it, and all chose to surrender. Although they were all confidants of Chun Gingyan before, now Chun Gingyan is dead. If they want to survive, they can only choose to surrender. Ito smiled with satisfaction. Make peace. You are all smart people. I like dealing with smart people the most. Chapter 145. Ito looked at the people in the storm base who had been conquered, turned back to his seat in the conference room. Lu Ning and Kai Haonan also returned to their seats. The strength that Ito had just shown shocked them. They were even more afraid of the man in front of them. Now that the storm base has been eradicated, from now on, all matters of the alliance will be entrusted to you two. Ito said to the two of them, sincerely. Mr. Ito is too polite. This is what we should do. Kai Haonan stood up and said to Ito Musashi with a flattering face. Mr. Ito, my Lu family will fully cooperate with your work. Lu Ning also stood up and bowed to Ito to express his loyalty. Ito raised his hand to signal the two to sit down and said, now that the alliance has completed the unification, what do you think about sending troops to Shanjing City this time? Kai Haonan spoke first. He said indignantly, this Ling Feng is really bold. After our investigation, he not only killed my son, but also a group of Lu family strongmen. Even Mr. Kamito was killed by him. He is really bold, so I decided to send out the most elite troops of our Kai family and 50 superpowers to suppress Ling Feng. Seeing this, Lu Ning also said, I think we can send out all the people in the storm base. In this way, we can not only eliminate Ling Feng, but also consume the strength of the storm base. How about it? Ito touched his chin and thought for a moment, then nodded and said, this method is feasible, but you two bases must send more superpowers to serve as the leaders this time. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, it will be more trouble than gain. Mr. Ito is still comprehensive. Let's follow this strategy. Kai Haonan said seriously. Then it's settled. You must organize strong men to take over the position of the storm base as soon as possible, and then quickly march into Shanjing City. Try to start within 3 days. And that Ling Feng, you must catch him alive. He killed the strong men of our great Japan, and I must make him pay the price. Yes, yes. The meeting ended successfully, and the Kai family and the Lu family also began to send strong men to the storm base to take over. God of War base. Ling Feng woke up from the state of cultivation, and after absorbing 6 top-grade inner pills, his strength was improved again. But it still did not break through the 5,000 mark. Ling Feng was not very anxious. With his current strength, he could kill superpowered people at will. He did not have much urgent requirements for his own improvement. What he cared more about was the upgrade speed of his subordinates. Only when their strength was improved, their entire base would be more stable in the future. After all, he could not stay in the base all the time without going out, and he did not want to become a firefighter, cleaning their asses every day. Only when they become stronger can he go out to look for opportunities with peace of mind. Soon, Ma Wu and Du Ibai also opened their eyes one after another. Ma Wu's appearance has changed significantly at this time. First of all, his appearance. Ma Wu was originally a middle-aged man in his 40s. After using the serum, his face became younger. Now the old Ma looks like he is only in his early 30s. His whole aura is stronger and looks very deterrent. Du Ibai's appearance has not changed much, and his temperament is more capable and heroic. How do you two feel? Ling Feng asked about the two with a smile. Chief, I feel that I have become much stronger, and there has been a revolutionary change. Ma Wu looked solemn, and a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. Me too. Now I can control any metal within a range of 500 meters around me, and I can also melt metal. Du Ibai's face was flushed with smile, and he was so excited that he trembled when he spoke. She finally broke through to the level of a superpowered person. If it weren't for Ling Feng, she wouldn't know when she would break through and advance. It's good that there is no problem. Continue to improve yourself and break through to a higher level as soon as possible. After Ling Feng sent the two away, he came to the laboratory alone. Now all the soldiers of the God of War Brigade have been injected with the King of Soldiers #1 serum, and I believe they will reach their peak soon. He plans to continue to develop the King of Soldiers #2 serum, and this time his goal is to reach 500 times. In this way, not only will there be no problem with the subsequent improvement of the soldiers, but his own strength limit can also be improved again. Now that his strength is close to 5,000 times, I believe it won't be long before it will reach 10,000 times in a short time. At that time, his strength will also stagnate. So he must speed up the development of Soldier King #2. According to the data left by his grandfather, the difficulty of his development work has been reduced a lot. Through repeated research and understanding of the data, he is now considered to be the top in the field of genetic research. Ling Feng was concentrating on developing the serum and did not pay attention to the concept of time at all. When he left the experimental state, it was already the morning of the next day. After doing experiments all night, he was not tired at all but very excited. His experiment has made a breakthrough. In another day, he can develop a finished product. Ling Feng looked at the time frequency and was shocked. He walked out of the laboratory and prepared to have breakfast to continue research. Anyway, he is now a hands-off boss, and all the big and small things in the base are responsible for a dedicated person. He only needs to take a look every day. Ling Feng walked out of the villa. In a large open space in front of the villa, hundreds of base members were laying the foundation in full swing. Zhang En and Zhang Ning also stood aside, holding the blueprints, constantly arranging the work. The foundation has just begun to be built, and it is estimated that it will take a long time. This is a long-term project. Ling Feng simply looked at it for a while and left. Behind the villa, the soldiers of the God of War Brigade are doing daily physical training. Now the number of the God of War Brigade has expanded from 360 at the beginning to 600. Originally, the army could be expanded, but Ling Feng did not let it. He took the route of elite soldiers, not relying on the number of people to fill. He thought that it would be enough to train these 600 soldiers with all his strength. While he was watching, Wang Long ran towards him. Fengzi, there were several refugees who came to the base this morning and wanted to join the base. I suspect that this group of people may be members of the White Clothes cult. Ling Feng's eyes moved slightly, and he said with a smile, "Just pretend that you don't know. Let them stay inside first, and you can reveal some news to them when necessary." Wang Long glanced at Ling Feng and smiled knowingly. Chapter 146. In the power plant of the Ares base, the staff responsible for power generation are pedaling hard. Accompanied by the dynamic DJ rhythm, the atmosphere on the scene is unprecedentedly high. Everyone's face is full of smiles, and the originally empty eyes are also alive. Since Ling Feng implemented the new system, everyone's enthusiasm for work has never been higher. Although their working hours have been shortened to 9 hours, the daily production capacity is higher than before. Now they can not only eat 3 meals a day, but also have the opportunity to eat normal food. Moreover, the biscuits and nutrient solution they eat now not only taste more delicious, but also contain sufficient energy. These foods are upgraded by Ling Feng in the space, and it can be said that the effect is very good. Although the food made with cockroaches sounds very disgusting, after the upgrade, there is no odor at all. The taste is so delicious that even Ling Feng exclaimed delicious after tasting a piece. And as long as they can complete the most basic work indicators, the excess can be converted into points. Points are very useful. Not only can they be exchanged for food, but they can also be used to rent a house to improve the living environment and buy daily necessities. Although the prices of these things are relatively expensive, once there is hope, people will be full of motivation. Now they are riding bicycles very hard. However, among these people, there is one person with an ugly expression who seems out of place. Xiao Tianlong looked at the people around him who were all excited, and he couldn't help but suspect that these people had been brainwashed. Who can do this kind of work every day and still be full of passion? In order not to make himself look out of place, he can only pedal his bicycle as hard as the people around him. He has been lurking in this base for 2 days. Apart from riding a bicycle, eating and sleeping, he has not been to other places. There is no chance to find out the news. He also asked the staff here, but the result was that he didn't know anything. He also didn't know what the subordinates who lurked in with him were doing now. As a bell rang, the day's work ended. Xiao Tianlong got off the bicycle and rubbed his numb buttocks. Even though he was a superpower, the mechanical work every day was a bit too much for him. He walked towards the canteen with some unnatural steps. The canteen still had simple biscuits and nutrient solution, and it had to be said that the taste was still good. He stayed here for 2 days and gradually fell in love with the food here, which was more delicious than the food made by their cult. Just as he was enjoying the happy time brought by the food, his eyes accidentally saw a familiar face. Li Zijuan, one of the brothers who lurked in this time. Li Zijuan also discovered him. The two looked at each other and communicated through their eyes. Li Zijuan walked towards him with a plate of food and sat down in the seat opposite him. Xiao Tianlong turned his head cautiously and looked around. After confirming that no one noticed them, he leaned over and asked in a low voice, "What have you gained in the past 2 days?" Li Zijuan shook his head bitterly. "Protector Xiao, I have been cleaning the toilets and dealing with feces these 2 days. I have no chance to search at all. Moreover, their management is very strict. You can't enter any department without a pass. I've been dealing with feces every day these 2 days. I am almost autistic. I smell like feces." Li Zijuan kept complaining to Xiao Tianlong and denounced his experience in the past 2 days. Xiao Tianlong sighed helplessly when he heard it. "By the way, how is Wu Tian? Why haven't I seen him?" Xiao Tianlong continued to ask. Li Zijuan took a bite of the biscuit and muttered, "I saw that guy yesterday. He said he was assigned to build a military base outside the base. He moved bricks every day, tired and cold. Military base?" Xiao Tianlong's eyes lit up, and he immediately came to the realization that perhaps this was a major intelligence. Maybe he could learn the core secrets of the God of War base through this. What military base? What is its specific purpose? Xiao Tianlong asked hurriedly. Because of his excitement, his voice subconsciously rose a few notes, causing the people at the next table to turn their heads. Xiao Tianlong then realized that he had lost his composure, and hurriedly turned his head to apologize with a smile. "Don't be embarrassed, everyone. We were just talking about a game we played before. We were too excited just now." Seeing that others had retracted their gazes, he secretly let out a sigh of relief. "It was close. I almost got exposed." Li Zijuan glanced around and whispered, "I heard from Wu Tian that they built a military base for special forces. He hasn't figured out what it is for yet. I'll ask him next time I meet him." Xiao Tianlong nodded. "Okay, go back quickly to avoid being suspected." Li Zijuan nodded slightly and returned to his seat with the plate. Little did he know that their conversation had already been clearly heard by the people arranged by Wang Long behind them. Xiao Tianlong quickly finished his dinner and prepared to go back to the dormitory to have a good rest. He would see if he could sneak out to take a look at night. Around 1 o'clock in the evening, Xiao Tianlong suddenly opened his eyes while lying on the bed. He just observed that all his roommates in the dormitory were asleep. He sat up carefully and put on his clothes. He tiptoed to open the door of the room and walked out. There was no figure in the dim corridor, and he walked out of the corridor quickly. He had been observing the layout of the surrounding buildings for the past 2 days, and he had already known the route of the dormitory area clearly. When he came to the outermost perimeter of the dormitory area, there was a large iron gate. He didn't know what was on the other side of the iron gate. Luckily, the iron gate was not locked at this time. He walked along the iron gate after entering. He found that this was a small food processing factory, and there were many processed biscuits, bread, and other foods inside. After passing through the food factory, another iron gate appeared, which was still half open and not locked. Xiao Tianlong couldn't help but sneer. The management here is really bad. There is such a loophole in the security work, and no one has discovered it. He continued to walk in the direction of the front. The further he walked inside, the brighter the light became. In a security room, he even found a pass, which made him very happy. After taking the pass, he swaggered towards the core area of the base. At this time, in the monitoring hall of the base, Wang Long sat in front of the monitoring screen, and Xiao Tianlong's every move was captured by the monitoring. Wang Long's mouth curled up slightly, and he picked up the intercom on the table. Attention in all areas. The target is about to appear. According to the previous script, prepare. Chapter 147. With the help of his pass, Xiao Tianlong entered the core area of the Ares base without any danger. Although he was checked by the guards, he was allowed to pass after only a symbolic question because he had a pass. This also made Xiao Tianlong look down on the Ares base even more. Xiao Tianlong came to the door of a conference room and found that a meeting was going on inside, and the door of the conference room was not closed tightly. The sound of the conversation inside also reached his ears. He stood at the door of the conference room and listened attentively to the conversation inside. The 4 words, "white clothes cult," were vaguely heard from it. Suddenly, an angry voice appeared in the conference room. "The white clothes cult is too powerful, and our base is no match for it. Yes, Captain, our base only has a superpowered leader. How can we fight against the cult?" "Bullshit!" An angry voice sounded, and at the same time, the conference table was slammed loudly. "You cowards! You're already scared before the enemy even comes. Although we don't have so many superpowers, our guns are not vegetarian. No matter how powerful the white-clothes divine cult is, as long as we are united, any enemy will be defeated by us. Didn't I kill those superpowers in Luan base?" Xiao Tianlong, who was eavesdropping outside the door, smiled coldly. "A bunch of bumpkins. How can you mortals understand the power of the divine cult? There are more than a dozen superpowers in my church, and the great snow god is even more powerful. It seems that I overestimated you before." Xiao Tianlong quietly left and returned to the dormitory along the original route. At this time, everyone in the dormitory was still sleeping soundly. He took off his clothes and lay back on the bed, constantly thinking about the information he had just received. This God of War base looks mysterious, but in fact it is not very strong. It seems that I was too cautious before. Tomorrow I must find a way to escape and report this news to the headquarters. Although this base is not strong, the infrastructure is pretty good. It can be used as a branch base of the divine religion in Shanjing City. Maybe because of my performance this time, I will be appointed as the head of the branch. Xiao Tianlong fell asleep in his beautiful imagination, and a faint snoring sound gradually sounded. Just after he fell asleep, the other members of the dormitory opened their eyes at the same time, looked at each other, and then continued to lie down and sleep. Early the next morning, Xiao Tianlong came to the power plant as usual. When he was about to work, the leader of the group came over. "Xiao Tianlong, you don't have to ride a bicycle today." Xiao Tianlong's face was shocked, and he couldn't help but be alert in his heart. "Did I get exposed last night? They found out my identity." But on the surface, he showed a puzzled look. "Team leader, what's wrong? Did I not do well enough?" "No, don't get me wrong, it's because the infrastructure department is short of manpower. You were seconded to participate in infrastructure work." Xiao Tianlong was delighted when he heard this. He was just worrying about how to go out, but he was arranged to go out to work today. It was really the blessing of the snow god. The team leader saw that Xiao Tianlong didn't speak and said with a somewhat unhappy look, "Why? You don't want to?" Xiao Tianlong waved his hand and explained hurriedly, No, I am willing. As long as it is for the base, I can do anything." The team leader nodded with satisfaction. "Come with me." The team leader took him through layers of guards and finally came to the outside of the underground base. Seeing the ground again, Xiao Tianlong couldn't help but take a deep breath. The two soon came to the base under construction, where hundreds of people were working in full swing. He saw Wu Jun, who had sneaked in with him this time, at a glance. Wu Jun, who was moving bricks, also discovered him. The two looked at each other inadvertently. Xiao Tianlong was arranged in the same group as Wu Jun. The two soon met smoothly. "Xiao Protector, why are you here too?" Wu Jun asked in a low voice. "I got important information, and we can find a chance to withdraw later." Xiao Tianlong pretended to look around casually and whispered, What about Li Zhejuan? He hasn't been exposed yet, and it's not a big problem for one person to stay here. Anyway, We will be here soon. Okay. After the two discussed, they began to look for opportunities to leave. Finally, they escaped successfully while the guards were going to the toilet. The two ran all the way and soon walked out of the sphere of influence of the God of War base. Xiao Tianlong came to their previous temporary residence. About 20 or so white divine religion followers had been stationed here, waiting for their news. Seeing Xiao Tianlong return, they were all excited. Protector, you are back. Protector, when will we avenge our dead brothers? Xiao Tianlong raised his palm to stop their voices and said in a deep voice, I have already understood the situation on the other side. I will report this to the headquarters. When the headquarters sends strong men over, we can kill them directly. Xiao Tianlong took out his satellite phone, found a number and dialed it. White Divine Religion Headquarters. Gu Qing sat in his own office, anxious and exhausted. There had been no news from Shangjing City for 2 days. I don't know if Xiao Tianlong has encountered any problems. At this moment, the phone in his pocket rang. He took out his phone, and when he saw that the caller ID was Xiao Tianlong, his expression suddenly relaxed. He quickly clicked the button to answer the call and couldn't wait to ask about the situation. Xiao Protector, how is the situation over there? King, I have investigated the matter clearly. The strength of this Ares base is not high. There is only one superpowered person. Xiao Tianlong reported all the situations he found in the Ares base in the past 2 days to Gu Qing. After listening to his report, Gu Qing was relieved. Okay, you guys stay put for now. I will report this matter to the Snow God and try to arrange people to go there today to eradicate this Ares base. I will lead the team in person this time. The people in this Ares base dared to kill our people. We must teach them a lesson and also set an example for other bases in Shangjing City. After hanging up the phone, Gu Qing simply tidied up his image and prepared to report the matter to His Majesty the Snow God. The missionary work in Shangjing City got off to a bad start, and he, as the first person responsible, should be punished. Although His Majesty the Snow God did not blame him last time, he was very clear that the Snow God was already dissatisfied with him in his heart. So he had to complete this matter beautifully to satisfy the Snow God. Chapter 148. In the Snow God Palace. The Snow God was lying on the bed wearing his golden mask, while Yang Zihan, who was wearing cool clothes, was massaging his body tenderly. The Snow God under the mask looked very happy, but no one could see it because it was hidden by the mask. Let's stop here today. You go back first. By the way, don't forget to comfort Hu Tianxi and tell him not to think too much. Yang Zihan slowly put on her clothes and said softly, Don't worry, he won't hold a grudge against you. The Snow God. Well, that's good. Hu Tianxi is a talented person. If he is trained well in the future, his future will be limitless. The Snow God closed his eyes and stopped talking. Yang Zihan looked at him with a faint smile, her eyes full of admiration. Then she turned and left, but at the moment of turning around, her eyes became extremely cold, and a hint of murderous intent flashed in her eyes. However, this trace of emotion flashed and was immediately hidden by her. She is no longer the same as she was before. She has experienced many things, which makes her very good at disguising her expression. No one knows what she really thinks. After Yang Zihan left, Gu Qing also came to the palace of the Snow God very quickly. Although the Snow God was a little unhappy, he still suppressed his dissatisfaction and summoned Gu Qing to come in. After Gu Qing came in, he immediately knelt on the ground and saluted the Snow God respectfully. Snow God, please forgive me for disturbing your rest so late, but I do have something important to report. No problem. Tell me what it is. The solemn voice of the Snow God came from behind the screen. Report to the Snow God, the guardian I sent to Shangjing City before, after risking his life to investigate these 2 days, finally found the murderer who killed my followers, and has a full understanding of this base. Who is the other side? The other side is called the God of War base. After investigation, this base has just been established not long ago. Their top leader is called Ling Feng. His strength is unknown, but he has only 3 or 4 superpowers under him, and his strength is not very high. The snow god frowned and pondered for a moment. Since they are not strong, how did they kill so many of us? Are you sure the information you investigated is correct? The snow god spoke more seriously. Gu Qing was shocked and said in a panic, I have indeed learned from them. According to what Xiao Tianlong said, they have a lot of advanced weapons. They were able to kill so many of us before because they used thermal weapons. Also, there is a superpowered person in their base who is very powerful, so that they were able to kill our previous power person. After Gu Qing finished speaking, he looked at the screen in front of him with some fear. Although he couldn't see the appearance of the snow god, he could hear from his tone just now that the snow god was dissatisfied and had some doubts about him. Although the snow god usually behaved very kindly and solemnly, only the senior officials knew the true character of the snow god. The snow god was a man of his word. If he was not satisfied with the things he arranged, the consequences would be very serious. At the least, he would be demoted, and at the worst, he would lose his life. The 4 heavenly kings of the divine religion have been replaced now, so he would be very afraid of the snow god. Behind the screen, the snow god was thinking about what Gu Qing had just said. Although Gu Qing did not dare to deceive himself, he always felt that this matter was not as simple as he said. However, he did not take this matter too seriously. After all, as the leader of the divine religion, he had to deal with many things every day, and preaching in Shangjing City was just a small matter. The divine religion has been infiltrating the surrounding cities, but Shangjing City was the first to have problems. For the authority of the divine religion, he must make this god of war base pay a heavy price. Since the true strength of the opponent cannot be known, then send a team that can crush everything and sweep across directly. Thinking of this, he immediately said, since the strength of that Ling Feng is not yet known, for the sake of insurance, I will allocate 1,000 elite believers to you this time, and arrange 50 superpowers and 4 superpowers to go there. This strength is enough to clear all obstacles. Gu Qing was delighted. He did not expect that the snow god would be so generous this time and allocate so many troops to him at once. With such a force, not to mention a small war god base, even the entire Shangjing City can be taken down. Your Majesty, the snow god, I request to personally lead the believers to eliminate this wave of pagans. Gu Qing put his forehead close to the ground and said seriously, Okay, then you will lead the team yourself. After destroying this war god base, you can also wipe out all the forces of all sizes in Shangjing City. The department is unified, right? Snow God said lightly, with an unquestionable deterrent force in his tone. Yes, I will do my best. After saying that, Gu Qing left the Snow God Palace. At the same time, in a very remote room of the God cult base, Yang Zihan was lying in Hu Tianxi's arms with tears in her eyes, and her melancholy eyes seemed to have suffered a lot. Hu Tianxi looked at Yang Zihan like this, and his heart was broken. He hated it. He was obviously a superpower with powerful power, but he still couldn't protect his woman and watched her suffer all kinds of grievances. This bastard, I must kill him. Hu Tianxi gritted his teeth and said. Yang Zihan immediately showed a panic expression when he heard Hu Tianxi's words, and hurriedly covered his mouth and whispered, Tianxi, don't talk nonsense. Be careful of being heard by others. He is the snow god. Hu Tianxi sneered, his eyes full of gloom. So what? No matter who he is, as long as he dares to hurt you, I will not let him go. Yang Zihan heard the words. Tears in her eyes fell again, looking at Hu Tianxi with eyes full of love. Tianxi, I know you love me, but the snow god is too powerful. I don't want you to be hurt. My grievance is really nothing. Hu Tianxi's face was full of pain, and his hands covered his head tightly. After a moment, as if he thought of something, his eyes gradually became unusually firm. He must die. Tianxi, don't be impulsive. Yang Zihan held Hu Tianxi's hands, put them on his chest, and said with a very worried look. Feeling the soft touch from his rough hands and looking at Yang Zihan's beautiful face, he became more determined in his heart. Don't worry, I won't joke about my life. Recently, I've been in contact with people from Longping Base, and the relationship is handled well. Longping Base, Yang Zihan said with a surprised look. Longping Base is a super large base, the largest force in the entire Jiangnan province. The White Clothes divine cult can only be regarded as a small fight in front of it. I didn't expect that Hu Tianxi could actually get in touch with such a force. It's really not simple. Chapter 149. Yang Zihan looked at Hu Tianxi, and the tenderness in her eyes was even stronger. She wanted to drown Hu Tianxi in the spring water in her eyes. Tianxi, you must pay attention to safety. Your safety is more important than anything else. Hu Tianxi nodded heavily and held Yang Zihan's hands affectionately. Don't worry, I will definitely get you out of the clutches as soon as possible. The two people stared at each other affectionately and hugged each other tightly. At the same time, on the other side, after receiving the order from the snow god, Gu Qing did not choose to go back to rest, but took the snow god's token and summoned believers overnight. Looking at the rows of elite believers in white clothes, everyone's face was full of fighting spirit. After these believers learned that the members of the god cult in Shangjing City were brutally killed, they couldn't wait to avenge their brothers. At the front of the team, there were 4 powerful figures who were also wearing white clothes, but the masks they wore were rare red. They are members of the Divine Cult Tribunal and the armed forces of the entire Divine Cult. Each of them is a superpowered person. Heavenly King, the personnel have been assembled. A masked member of the tribunal bowed to Gu Qing and reported. Gu Qing nodded and said, "Okay, since the personnel are all here, let's get ready to go." He gave an order, and the team of thousands of people began to board the car and set off. In order to quickly reach Shangjing City and save time, Gu Qing coordinated all the means of transportation in the Divine Cult. Whether it is snowmobiles and motorcycles, all were arranged. Among them, there are even more than a dozen sleds composed of sled dogs. Various means of transportation, carrying the believers set off to Shangjing City overnight. In the underground meeting room of the God of War base, Ling Feng sat in the main seat, and Wang Long, Ma Wu, Du Yibai, Lin Su, and the Zhang brothers sat on both sides. Behind Ling Feng was a small blackboard with the recent key work plan marked on it. The traps around the base have been set up. According to your instructions, all kinds of high-yield explosives have been set up. If the enemy dares to come, he will never come back, Ma Wu said confidently. In addition to explosives, have you set up anything else, such as those rusty steel pipes, shit-stained glass, and poisonous wood thorns? Ling Feng said calmly. The others held back their laughter when they heard this, thinking that Ling Feng was really cruel. If they were really hurt by these things, they would be dead. Ma Wu's old face turned red. All arranged. In addition, I also put a lot of chili powder and some lime powder on the bombs. Everyone's eyes were all focused on Ma Wu. They didn't expect that Ma Wu, who usually looked very honest, had so many bad ideas. Really mean? Ling Feng nodded with satisfaction. Ma Wu's approach was very pleasing to Ling Feng. Then he looked at Wang Long again. How has the training result of the God of War team recently? Has it reached its limit? Wang Long looked proud. We all reached our limit yesterday. Now any person can defeat a superpower within 10 moves. As the captain of this team, Wang Long is very proud. You have to know that a team of 600 people means 600 people who are comparable to superpowers. This kind of strength is top-notch in any force. It is no exaggeration to say that he can sweep the entire Handong province with this team, provided that there is no superpower intervention. Looking at Wang Long's confident expression, Ling Feng did not hesitate to hit his confidence. Not bad, but not enough. As the number of enemies in our base increases, our strength must be further improved. It is not enough to defeat superpowers, at least to defeat superpowers. Everyone present took a breath of cold air. Superpowers. If they can really train 600 superpowered people, how powerful will their God of War base be? I'm afraid the entire Dragon Country will be ranked first. But our serum can only reach 100 times, and it may be difficult to improve it further. Wang Long also put forward his own opinions. Ling Feng smiled faintly, then took out a large box from the space and put it on the table. This is the King of Soldiers #2 serum that Lin Su and I have recently developed. It can break the human body's limit by 1,000 times. You will arrange for all soldiers to be injected later. This serum is the latest one developed by Ling Feng today, and it is still perfect without side effects. And this serum also comes with a special effect. That is the flame power. This power is that Ling Feng draws blood from his body and decomposes it. The gene chain inside is added to the King of Soldiers serum. As long as this serum is injected, you will have the strange fire. However, the effect of the strange fire is not as great as Ling Feng's, and it can only reach half of Ling Feng's power. Even if it is only half the power, it is quite terrifying. Even if a superpowered person is burned by the strange fire, it is quite troublesome. After the King of Soldiers #2 was developed, Ling Feng used one himself first, but he used the upgraded one. After the upgraded serum, the physical limit reached an astonishing 100,000 times. In the future, he will no longer have to worry about his strength growth. Except for Lin Su, everyone present had a dull expression on their faces. Originally thought that Ling Feng was just talking casually, but he didn't expect him to be serious. Moreover, the research and development and production work were completed in such a short time. This efficiency can only be said to be awesome. Wang Long stared blankly at the full serum in the box, which was casually placed on the table by Ling Feng, and couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Fengzi, is this true? I can't believe it. Ling Feng smiled faintly. If you don't believe it, you can try it. I forgot to tell you that this serum also comes with firepower. You can take a shot if you want. What? Firepower? Du Yibai exclaimed subconsciously. As the only one with superpowers on the field, she couldn't believe it. Just inject a serum to have firepower. This is too shocking. If she can have firepower, combined with her metal control ability, the lethality will be unimaginable. Imagine that in the battle, all the metals are full of fire, and the enemy will be burned to death by fire even if they are not killed by the metal. Everyone can take one today. Go back and try it yourself. Okay, let's stop today's meeting. Wang Long, you will distribute the serum to the soldiers now, and inject it tonight. Wang Long promised, and left quickly with the serum carefully. Ling Feng also brought Lin Su back to the villa. He had been doing experiments all day and was still hungry. After a busy day, he had to reward himself and his second brother. Chapter 150. Ling Feng took Lin Su's hand and came to the door of the villa, and saw the Black Panther lying at the door and sleeping. The Black Panther has been getting bigger and bigger recently. Now the whole body is more than 15 meters, and when it stands up, it is comparable to a large truck. The black hair looks like silk, and the golden eyes are very deterrent. Since the end of the world, the Black Panther has never shown his strength, which is also deliberately done by Ling Feng. The Black Panther's body is very suitable for group battles. His body is definitely a killing machine on the battlefield. Ling Feng walked in front of the Black Panther, and his height was not even half of his height. After seeing Ling Feng, the Black Panther was very happy to circle around Ling Feng, but because of its large body, the whole ground was slightly shaken by its steps. Black Panther, you said that you have grown so big, and you eat as much as 100 soldiers a day. Can you shrink your body a little? Ling Feng said jokingly. After listening to Ling Feng's words, the Black Panther looked thoughtful, tilting his head and looking at Ling Feng. After a while, the size of the Black Panther was actually shrinking slowly, and finally became the size of an ordinary dog. Ling Feng looked at the miniature Black Panther in front of him with surprise. He touched the dog's head with his hands. It can really shrink. It's amazing. Lin Su also touched the Black Panther with surprise. Since the Black Panther grew bigger, she has never touched the Black Panther's head again. Now seeing the miniature Black Panther again, Lin Su also touched the Black Panther with a look of intimacy. Ling Feng looked at the Black Panther in front of him, and an idea suddenly popped up in his mind. My blood now contains golden blood. I wonder if this blood can help others, but I can't give blood to others. Or let the Black Panther try it directly. As soon as Ling Feng's idea popped out of his mind, he couldn't control it anymore. He took out a dagger directly from the space, and he also specially found an upgraded dagger. Otherwise, ordinary daggers really can't cut his skin. Ling Feng took the dagger and was about to cut his hand. Seeing this, Lin Su immediately pulled him and looked at him with a puzzled look. "What are you doing? Self-harm?" "It's okay. I'm just experimenting whether my blood can have an effect on the improvement of the Black Panther," Ling Feng said casually, and then cut his wrist directly. Who knew that after a knife, the skin was intact, leaving only a white mark? Ling Feng looked at his wrist in surprise. He knew that his defense was very strong, but he had never tested it, and no one had ever been able to hurt him. This test today scared him himself. Ling Feng gritted his teeth and slashed hard on his hand. Puff! A shallow wound was cut on the skin. A few drops of blood mixed with gold oozed out from the wound. Ling Feng quickly took out a small bottle to catch the blood. Just after catching 3 or 4 drops of blood, the wound healed directly, and there was no sign of injury. "Your recovery ability is too fast." Lin Su looked at Ling Feng's wrist in shock, holding his wrist with both hands to look back and forth. Ling Feng looked at the blood in the glass bottle, and there was a faint, strange fragrance from it, without any bloody feeling. "Black Panther, come here!" Ling Feng waved at the Black Panther. The Black Panther immediately ran over. Ling Feng put the glass bottle in front of the Black Panther's nose, and the Black Panther's eyes immediately changed. He looked at the blood in the bottle eagerly, and his eyes were full of desire. The tail kept wagging. "Open your mouth!" The Black Panther immediately opened his mouth, revealing his black tongue. Ling Feng poured all the drops of blood in the bottle into the Black Panther's mouth. The Black Panther swallowed the blood in his mouth with a look of enjoyment. But soon his expression began to change, from the original enjoyment to a ferocious one. The body shape began to recover uncontrollably to its original appearance. The Black Panther lay on the ground and began to howl in pain. The hair on his body began to fall off slowly, and blood began to seep out of his pores. The whole process lasted about 10 minutes. The Black Panther gradually stopped howling, and new hair grew on his body. After a few minutes, the Black Panther gradually opened his eyes. He suddenly stood up, his aura suddenly changed, and his big eyes were full of human spirit. After the transformation, his body size increased again. It was nearly 1/3 larger than before, right? Ling Feng looked at the giant dog in front of him with satisfaction, and then he teleported to the back of the Black Panther. "Black Panther, run a lap," Ling Feng said excitedly. "Woof, woof, woof." The Black Panther roared, and its huge body left the spot like lightning. In a blink of an eye, it was no longer visible. Ling Feng, sitting on the back of the Black Panther, was excited. The speed of the Black Panther completely exceeded the speed of sound. This is much more exciting than driving a sports car. There was a whirring sound in his ears, and the cold wind slapped his face, and the scenery on both sides became blurred. The pleasure brought by this speed made Ling Feng passionate. The Black Panther ran at full speed in the snow, having fun, releasing the energy that was about to overflow from his body. After running for half an hour, Ling Feng didn't know how far he had run, and the scenery on both sides slowly began to become unfamiliar. Ling Feng then reminded Black Panther, "Black Panther, it's almost time, let's go back." "Woof!" Black Panther braked suddenly and began to return to the base reluctantly. Ling Feng stood on the back of Black Panther, thinking about the changes that Black Panther had just undergone. The experiment just now successfully proved that his blood had a strong transformation ability. It was no less powerful than the ability of serum. He was going to go back and draw more blood for the soldiers, but the energy of his blood was too strong, so he had to dilute it, otherwise his body would be very likely to burst. The two quickly returned to the front of the villa, and Black Panther also turned back to a smaller version and followed Ling Feng back to the villa. After Ling Feng returned to the villa, he couldn't wait to prepare for bloodletting. This time he took out a large bowl and put it on the table, and then cut his wrist fiercely with a dagger. In order to let out more blood, he cut the wound very deeply this time. In an instant, the blood from the wound gushed out and flowed into the bowl below. As the blood in the bowl slowly increased, Ling Feng's face turned slightly pale. Even though he was strong, he couldn't bear to lose so much blood. He quickly took out an inner pill and swallowed it. The feeling of weakness in his body slowly disappeared, and as the wound slowly healed, the whole bowl was filled with blood. Ling Feng collected the blood into the space and directly upgraded it 100 times. Chapter 151. After the upgrade, the blood has undergone a big change. Originally, there was about 1/3 of golden blood in the blood, but after the upgrade, it completely turned golden. Ling Feng looked at the golden blood in front of him, which was full of rich energy, and the whole house exuded bursts of strange fragrance. Ling Feng took a drop of golden blood from the bowl and put it in his mouth. He wanted to try whether eating his own blood would have any effect. As a result, except for being delicious, it had no effect. Ling Feng had no choice but to give up the idea of eating his own blood. Ling Feng found a very small glass bottle and took out some golden blood. He was going to use this undiluted precious blood for the senior officials of the base. Their physiques can completely withstand golden blood. He poured all the remaining blood into a large plastic bucket and then filled the plastic bucket with water. This precious blood elixir was made. Ling Feng put the plastic bucket into the space and prepared to give the precious blood to the soldiers tonight. Ling Feng walked out of the villa and came to the underground shelter of the base. The military area square of the shelter. 600 members of the God of War Brigade were injecting the King of Soldiers No. 2 serum. When Ling Feng came, he saw all the soldiers lying on the ground, holding their stomachs and wailing. Wang Long and Ma Wu stood on the platform and observed the soldiers' situation. Ling Feng quickly walked to the platform, took out the precious blood in the space, and put it on the ground. "Leader, what is this?" Ma Wu looked at the large plastic bucket on the ground, which was full of unknown liquid and exuded a fragrance that made people want to drink a sip. "Is this a drink?" Wang Long also looked at the contents with surprise. "This is my latest nutrient solution, which can increase people's strength. After they are all transformed, let them each come forward and drink a glass," Ling Feng said seriously. Hearing Ling Feng say this, Wang Long and the others did not ask any more questions. "And this you will drink later. This is a nutrient solution with higher purity and stronger effect." Ling Feng took out 2 glass bottles, which contained the precious blood he had divided in advance. When he just came, he had asked Black Panther to drink another dose, and now he was lying on the snow outside the villa and screaming. After a while, Du Yibai also came to the high platform, and Ling Feng also handed him a dose of precious blood. "You should be mentally prepared. The effect of this medicine is very strong, but it is very irritating and there will be strong pain. You will bear it for a while," Ling Feng kindly reminded. Wang Long said indifferently, "Don't worry, we have experienced many tortures and have long been accustomed to it. Just bear it, and it will pass." Ma Wu didn't say anything, but Du Yibai's face looked a little ugly. She was the only one among all the people present who had not been injected with serum. Hearing Ling Feng say this, she couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Wang Long saw her unnatural look and comforted her. "Don't be afraid, Yibai. It's not that painful. Just bear it and it will pass." Du Yibai nodded politely. After about half an hour of recovery, the Special Forces members under the stage slowly stood up and began to feel the changes in their bodies. Everyone had an excited look on their faces. Wang Long cleared his throat and said in a loud voice, "Be quiet." Everyone in the audience instantly quieted down. Now everyone has completed the injection of serum. Now we will proceed to the second activity. Everyone line up and drink a cup of the liquid medicine here. This is to help you quickly improve your strength. You must cherish this opportunity. Everyone must drink it. Let's start now. After Wang Long finished speaking, the special forces below began to line up spontaneously and took turns to receive the precious blood. Soon, screams were heard again in the whole square, and this time they were louder than before. Many people fainted directly from the pain. Du Yibai, who was standing on the high platform, became more nervous, afraid that he would make a fool of himself later. Ling Feng watched everyone drink the precious blood, and the plastic bucket was empty. You guys should drink it quickly. I'll watch here. Ma Wu nodded, opened the lid without hesitation, and drank it first. Wang Long followed closely and drank the precious blood. Only Du Yibai held the glass bottle in her hand, frowning and pursing her lips. But after she exhaled deeply, she also drank the precious blood very quickly. Soon, Wang Long and the other two felt unprecedented pain. Fuck, this medicine has such a strong after effect. Wang Long's face turned red to purple, lying on the ground trembling, and a lot of dark red blood flowed out of his body. The scream overwhelmed everyone else. Du Yibai was the same, but she had been gritting her teeth and persisting. Perhaps out of a woman's sense of shame, she did not scream. Ling Feng watched everyone enjoy the pleasure of improving their strength and silently took out a stool from the space and sat on it. Then he took out a stick of 9-5 Supreme and took a few puffs and began to wait for their transformation. Half an hour later, Ma Wu opened his eyes first, and Ling Feng looked over with a smile in his eyes. At this time, Ma Wu had recovered his youthful appearance. At first glance, he was a young man in his 20s. A pair of eagle eyes were cold and full of momentum. After him, Wang Long and Du Yibai also woke up one after another. Wang Long looked excited. How did I become so strong? My strength should have exceeded 2,000 points now. Ha! Wang Long laughed heartily, without any image. I feel like I'm already at the peak of superpowers, very close to the king level. Du Yibai also said excitedly. Although Ma Wu didn't show much excitement, his eyes showed that he was very excited. The soldiers below the platform also began to wake up slowly, and then there were discussions one after another. According to statistics, after using the precious blood, the physical fitness of each soldier exceeded 500 points. Some of the talented ones even reached 700 points, but there were only a few dozen people, mostly squadron leaders and team leaders. Looking at the soldiers who had greatly improved their strength under the stage, Ling Feng was very pleased. These were truly cultivated with his own blood. Just when Ling Feng was happy, the followers of the divine religion led by Gu Qing had arrived at the territory of Shanjing City. Gu Qing looked at the mighty team behind him, and everyone exuded a strong aura. He couldn't help but feel a little proud, and he was determined to win this expedition. He wanted to quickly take down all the forces in Shanjing City with the momentum of autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves and complete the task assigned by the snow god. As long as he completed his task successfully, the position of the deputy leader that had been vacant for a long time might be his. Chapter 152. Gu Qing and his 1,000 followers quickly arrived at the place agreed with Xiao Tianlong. Xiao Tianlong, who was hiding in the dark, saw the familiar army in white and immediately became excited. According to a rough estimate, the headquarters sent at least 1,000 people this time. In front of the team, a mighty all-terrain snowmobile was moving quickly. Gu Qing and his dozens of followers immediately walked out of the darkness and prepared to greet them. The snowmobile soon arrived in front of Xiao Tianlong's team. Gu Qing, dressed in white, walked down from the car with a majestic face. Gu Qing stepped forward quickly and knelt down in front of Gu Qing. I am incompetent and let Li Bing and others be harmed by the traitors. Please punish me, Heavenly King. Gu Qing looked at Xiao Tianlong, who was kneeling on the ground. His face was calm, and he said in a light tone, "Let's talk about this matter later. The most important thing now is to eradicate those pagans as soon as possible to calm the anger of the snow god." Xiao Tianlong heard this and said with a trembling voice, "Is the snow god very angry?" Gu Qing's expression changed, and he said with some dissatisfaction, "The snow god is very angry. If I hadn't interceded for you, I'm afraid you would be disgraced." Xiao Tianlong said with gratitude, "Thank you, Heavenly King, for interceding for me. I will definitely serve you until my death." Gu Qing was delighted. In just a few words, he not only got a favor, but also made his subordinates more loyal. On the surface, he still had a look of neither sadness nor joy. "Okay, let's just forget about this matter and talk about business." Xiao Tianlong nodded and said seriously, I have already found out the situation at the God of War base. The base has a total of 800 armed personnel, all of whom are ordinary people, without a single superpower. Although they were all official special forces before, they can only be regarded as a mob against the elites of our god cult. How is the high-end combat power over there? I only care about this. Don't talk about these small fish and shrimps. Gu Qing waved his hand, interrupting Xiao Tianlong's words with a look of impatience. Yes, King, on the high-end combat force side, they only have 3 psychics, one of whom is the leader of the previous Luan base, and the other 2 are the 2 leaders of their armed team. Their specific strength is probably at the peak of psychics, and they're definitely not at the level of super psychics. Their top leader, Ling Feng, is a relatively mysterious person. I have never seen him once. His specific strength is unknown. I think he is at most a super psychic. With you, King, he should not be a concern. In terms of firepower, the opponent is basically based on light weapons, without large-scale lethal weapons. Gu Qing thought for a moment and asked again, how is the opponent's defense? Xiao Tianlong smiled faintly. The opponent's defense is basically non-existent, and the guards are very lax. When I lived there before, the sentinels between the various areas were useless. Even in their most core areas, I could enter and exit at will. Good. Gu Qing looked at Xiao Tianlong with appreciation. After listening to Xiao Tianlong's description, he felt that this mission was stable, not to mention that he has more than 1,000 people. Even if he has 200 people, he can quickly flatten this place. You lead the way now, and try to take him down tonight. King, you have been on the road for a day. Do you want to rest first, recuperate, and wait for tomorrow to take him down? Xiao Tianlong said. Gu Qing showed no concern for Xiao Tianlong's words and waved his hand. No, the opponent's strength can be solved with a wave of the hand. No need to rest, take down the God of War base. Isn't it better to go inside and rest? Yes. Xiao Tianlong immediately took Gu Qing to the direction of the God of War base. At this time, in the command room of the God of War base, Ling Feng, Wang Long, Ma Wu, and Du Yibai sat together, studying combat strategies. When Xiao Tianlong and Gu Qing met, Ling Feng got the news. Their every move was already under Ling Feng's control. Old Ma, have you arranged the traps? Don't worry, Lord. As long as they enter our encirclement, we will make sure they never come back. Everyone on the War God Brigade has assembled. Wang Long also added. Ling Feng nodded. Okay, let's go now. I guess the people on the other side will be here soon. Ling Feng led the top leaders of the base and 500 members of the War God Brigade to a location 2 kilometers away from the base. The physical fitness of the team members is beyond that of the superpowers. It took 2 minutes for the team to reach the designated location. The place they are in now is the only way to get to the base. There are low mountains on both sides of the road. The people of the God of War Brigade are wearing white cloaks, all ambushed on the low mountains on both sides of the road. Ling Feng took out the howitzer from the space and placed it at the designated location. At the same time, all weapons such as heavy machine guns were distributed to the soldiers. In order to facilitate the journey, he directly placed all these heavy weapons in his space. After everything was ready, everyone lurked and waited quietly for the prey to take the bait. In this battle today, Ling Feng did not intend to take action. He wanted to use this group of people from the White Clothes Divine Cult as his whetstone to train his soldiers and Wang Long and others. If he took action himself, he could solve the battle in 1 minute, but it would be meaningless. If a base depends entirely on himself, then there is no point in him building a foundation. What he needs is a strong helper, not a burden. I have spent a lot of energy and resources before, but I have never fought in actual combat. Today's battle is also a battle to test the combat capability of the base. About an hour later, a team of people appeared about 800 meters away from Ling Feng. They took various means of transportation and moved quickly towards this side. Prepare for battle. Ling Feng gave an order, and all the team members were tense and ready to shoot at any time. Gu Qing's car was in the center of the team, and he looked relaxed at this time. Facing the upcoming battle, he was not nervous at all. For this battle, He had no strategy, just a reckless one. There were many people on his side, and the strength was strong, so there was no need for any strategy at all. Push forward directly, and try to resolve the battle within an hour, and it would not affect the rest at night. Soon the team entered the encirclement. Ma Wu stared at the enemy's marching progress, and soon the team of 1,000 people entered the encirclement. Ma Wu looked at the red button in front of him, pressed it hard. Chapter 153. The next second, boom! The sound of explosions resounded throughout the valley. The location of the white-robed cult instantly turned into a sea of fire, filled with intense flames. Then came screams. The vehicle where Gu Qing was also blown into a hornet's nest, but with his powerful supernatural powers, he quickly left the ground at the moment of the explosion. Only then did he realize that he was ambushed. He hurriedly looked towards his team. The ground was full of broken limbs and arms, and the air was filled with the smell of explosives, mixed with blood and spicy smells. More than a dozen motorcycles had been blown into scrap metal and kept burning. Some believers stepped on traps in a panic, and their feet were full of iron pieces and glass fragments. Some soldiers had their legs blown off, leaving only half of their bodies, wailing constantly. Some were hit in the eyes by shrapnel and attacked randomly. The entire team was completely disrupted, and everyone was running around like headless flies. Although they were all elite believers, they were ordinary people after all, and had never seen such a tragic situation. Gu Qing saw this miserable scene, clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes were red. Xiao Tianlong was so scared that his face turned pale, and he rolled and crawled to Gu Qing's side, with injuries on his arms. Gu Qing stepped forward and grabbed his collar, roaring, "This is the lax defense you told me about. Explain to me what this is." "Heavenly King, what I saw is true. How could I joke with the lives of my brothers?" Xiao Tianlong was also scared at this time. He had never seen such a scene. "It must be the guys at the God of War base who deliberately lied to me. I really didn't lie, my king." Gu Qing threw him aside and began to gather the team. Soon the surviving members of the god cult were gathered together. When Gu Qing heard the number of survivors, his face turned green. Of the 1,000 elites he brought with him, there are now less than 500 people left, and even 8 of the 50 superpowers were killed. The people at the God of War base are really despicable. They filled the explosives with chili powder and pepper. The brothers are now unable to open their eyes because of the spiciness, and their vision is seriously damaged. One of the superpowers said angrily, "What's this?" They also filled the traps with feces and urine, and the iron spikes were rusty. The wounds on many brothers' feet have begun to turn black now. Another superpower also spoke angrily. Gu Qing listened to the report below, and his face kept twitching. This group of despicable bastards is completely unethical. "King, what should we do next? We have suffered heavy losses now." Gu Qing took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Keep going. This is all they have. They use traps, which just shows that they don't have much high-end combat power. They can only use such despicable means to stop our progress." He encouraged the remaining 400 believers loudly. "Children of the Snow God, the great Snow God will give you strength. Follow me to rush into the magic nest of the superpowers and crush them." Gu Qing's voice seemed to carry a kind of magic. The originally depressed mood immediately became angry. Everyone shouted loudly, "Crush them! Crush them! Crush them!" The next second, boom! After a loud bang, a no-man's land with a diameter of 5 meters immediately appeared in the crowd, and more than a dozen people were directly blown to pieces. A large pit with a depth of 2 meters appeared on the ground. Before everyone could react, there was another loud noise. The second shell landed in the crowd again, and more than a dozen people died instantly. Then came the second and third shells. The crowd that had just stabilized became panic again. Gu Qing shouted immediately, "Everyone disperse, don't gather in groups." Gu Qing immediately used his supernatural power, and a thick fog immediately spread around him, and then the thick fog slowly enveloped the entire battlefield. "Everyone, come to my side." Everyone immediately walked in the direction of Gu Qing's voice. Ling Feng frowned at the sudden phenomenon on the battlefield and immediately ordered to stop the bombardment. At this time, the battlefield was completely shrouded in thick fog, and the situation inside could not be seen clearly. Random shooting would only waste shells. After all, there were not many shells in his hand, only 100,000, which was really not much. "Next, it's up to you," Ling Feng said to Ma Wu, Wang Long, and Du Yibai. Wang Long pinched his own hand joints and made them crackle, his eyes full off with a bloodthirsty light. "I can't bear it any longer." The three led 500 soldiers and rushed down the mountain quickly. Ling Feng smiled faintly, took out a chair from the space and sat on it, took out a bag of melon seeds, and read it with relish. Among the three, Du Yibai raised his hands with Ling Feng, and all the metal objects on the ground instantly rose into the air. In addition to the iron pieces with bombs, the rusty iron spikes in the traps, and the transportation tools of the white clothes cult all went up to the sky. Then Du Yibai's mind moved, and all the metal objects were burning with raging fire. Then these metals with strange fire smashed towards the ground like meteors, attacking the white clothes cult team below indiscriminately. Although the fog was already filled below, there were still screams coming from inside. Gu Qing looked at the rain of fire falling from the sky and was shocked. "There are superpowers attacking. Be alert." 5 superpowers in the crowd immediately flashed to the outermost layer of the team to welcome the arrival of the superpowers. Soon they saw a scene that they would never forget. Hundreds of men with arms surrounded by flames rushed to them with agile bodies. Gu Qing and 5 superpowers stood at the front and rushed up with the remaining members of the church. The two sides immediately fought together. Wang Long quickly punched one of the superpowers, and a circle of green flames surrounded his fist. The superpower of the god cult immediately used his superpowers, and his body disappeared in an instant. The next second, he appeared directly behind Wang Long. His right hand quickly formed a claw and grabbed Wang Long's neck, as fierce as a tiger. Wang Long's mouth curled up slightly, and he was not panicked. The superpower of the white god cult showed an evil smile, and his right hand grabbed Wang Long's seemingly soft neck fiercely. But his smile disappeared the next second. Not only did his right hand fail to tear Wang Long's neck, but he also felt a sharp pain in his hand. His attack could even break a stone in half. After a brief shock, he was ready to teleport again, but Wang Long obviously wouldn't give him another chance. Wang Long made a lightning move, grabbed his wrist, flashed behind him, and slapped him on the head. The superpower user's head exploded instantly. After killing this superpower user, Wang Long quickly killed another superpower user. Chapter 154. Gu Qing was very angry at this time. He seriously suspected that Xiao Tianlong had betrayed him. According to him, the Ares base was a mess, but the opposite was true. The people in the Ares base were not only strong, but also ridiculously strong. Their firepower was very fierce, and they even had heavy artillery in the army. Each of the hundreds of flame armies that suddenly appeared was as good as the peak of the superpowers. I don't know how the leaders of their base trained 500 superpowers with the same superpowers. Moreover, they have rich combat experience, and their moves are ruthless and deadly. He saw with his own eyes that a superpower had his neck twisted by one move. Then he was burned to ashes. The person in the Ares base did not seem very happy, but picked up the crystal on the ground very calmly and continued to kill others. The believers on his side had no power to resist at all. The superpowers could still resist a few moves, and the ordinary elite believers were all killed in one move. You have to know that these elite believers are the best among the hundreds of people in the God cult. There are not many people in the entire God cult, so he brought almost half of them. As a result, they were crushed to death like ants in the hands of others. He regretted it very much, regretting that he volunteered to wade into this muddy water. Today, not only were almost all the people he brought with him wiped out, but it was also difficult for him to escape unscathed. However, in just 1 minute, all the elite believers of the white-clothed God cult on the field were wiped out, and only a few superpowers were left. Only Gu Qing was left with a superpower. Gu Qing looked around and saw that all the corpses on the ground were his men, and there was no casualty on the opposite side. Gu Qing's eyes flashed with a trace of retreat. He just wanted to escape now. As for the others, he didn't care about their lives. Wang Long seemed to see his thoughts and said coldly, "Don't dream of escaping. All of you must stay here today." Hundreds of members of the God of War Brigade quickly surrounded the few remaining members of the God cult. "You killed so many people from my God cult today. Didn't you consider the consequences?" Gu Qing said with a gloomy look. Wang Long smiled coldly. "Consequences? My God of War base has always done things this way. From the moment you set foot on the territory of my God of War base, you are doomed to perish. Not only you, but your entire White Clothes God cult will pay the price for this." "You!" Gu Qing was so angry that he couldn't speak. He really met a tough guy today. The reputation of the White Clothes God cult is useless. It seems that he can only fight to the death today. Gu Qing's expression sank, and a faint, strange aura emanated from his body. On his originally normal face, a touch of black air was seen. Ling Feng, who was sitting in the distance watching the battle, was eating melon seeds and watching Gu Qing's changes with interest. What kind of superpower is this? It looks a bit like poisoning. On the battlefield, Gu Qing's body was completely shrouded in black mist, making it difficult to see his face. Wang Long frowned and stared at the opposite side. The next moment, Gu Qing disappeared instantly, as if he had evaporated from the earth. Wang Long's eyes changed, and he was always feeling the changes around him. Suddenly, a cold breath came from his back, and his figure instantly disappeared from the spot, and he flashed 3 meters away. Just as he left, the place where he had just stood was instantly shrouded by a black fog. The next second, the black fog disappeared again, and the originally white ice and snow on the ground turned black, emitting a faint black gas, which looked extremely weird. Wang Long frowned slightly, but soon he felt the sound of air flow again. This time he did not choose to dodge, but turned around and punched out. The green flame on the fist burned the surrounding air and deformed it. Wang Long's fist passed through the black fog without any obstruction, and the black fog disappeared in the next second. What on earth is this thing? Why there is no reaction when it hits it? Ma Wu, who was watching the battle, was also surprised. This was the first time he had seen such a strange scene. Wang Long looked down at his fist, which was stained with a trace of black air, and it was still flowing up his arm. "Ha!" Gu Qing's figure reappeared, appearing 3 meters away from Wang Long. At this time, Gu Qing had a smug look on his face, looking at Wang Long as if he was looking at a dead man. "You are poisoned by my strange poison, and you will definitely die today." Wang Long felt a little dizzy in his brain, and his strength was slowly disappearing. "Are you feeling very dizzy now? You can't even use any strength in your body." Gu Qing looked at him with a sneer on his face. "As long as you are poisoned by my poison, even the gods can't save you. Otherwise, why do you think I became the king of the god cult?" Ma Wu's face was furious. He and Wang Long had been together for so many days, and their friendship was very deep. He immediately rushed forward to fight with Gu Qing, but was stopped by Wang Long. "Don't be impulsive. This person's ability is too weird. Don't go over." A black gas began to appear on Wang Long's face, and the poison had now invaded his heart. He felt his breathing become a little rapid. "Today, I will destroy all of you. I have consumed my own blood and energy, and the ability I used has reduced my lifespan by at least 10 years. You must pay for all this with your lives." Gu Qing looked crazy, and the next second he turned into black mist again and disappeared. Ma Wu's whole body tensed up instantly, always on guard against the opponent's sneak attack. But the next second, Gu Qing appeared in the same place, spitting out black blood in big mouthfuls, his eyes full of horror. "Your ability is quite interesting. I want it." Gu Qing looked towards the voice, and saw a young man suddenly appeared in the field. This man had a tough face, sword eyebrows and star eyes, and exuded a kingly aura. "Just now you attacked me." Gu Qing said to Ling Feng with a face full of resentment. Ling Feng smiled faintly, took out a glass bottle from the space, and handed it to Wang Long. Drink it, and quickly remove the poison. Gu Qing smiled coldly and said with a mocking face, Don't waste your energy. No one can remove my strange poison. Really, nothing is impossible with me. Ling Feng said calmly. Wang Long took the glass bottle and drank it without saying anything. The moment he drank it, Wang Long felt that his body was instantly filled with strength. The next second, the black air on the surface of his body disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a minute, it had all disappeared. Impossible. How can you cure this poison? Gu Qing's face was full of disbelief. The supernatural power he was proud of was solved by this man in a casual conversation. Fengzi, I'm useless. Chapter 155. Wang Long said with his head down and a look of annoyance. Wang Long patted his shoulder and comforted him. Don't blame you. This guy's ability is very strange, and ordinary people can easily be affected. What did I drink just now? I feel full of power now. This is my latest potion, which can cure all poisons. Ling Feng said without blushing or beating his heart. This potion is Ling Feng's diluted blood. Ling Feng's current physical fitness will soon break through 5,000 points, which can be said to be immune to all poisons. His blood is also extremely domineering. It can be said that a drop of Ling Feng's blood can cure any disease in the world. Even if there is only one last breath left, eating Ling Feng's blood can bring him back to life. Who are you? Gu Qing roared. Who am I? I am Ling Feng, the master of the god of war base. Haven't you always wanted to kill me? Ling Feng looked at Gu Qing and said with a playful look, I'll kill you. Gu Qing burst out all his strength and came to Ling Feng in an instant. With a pair of black fists, he smashed Ling Feng's face fiercely. Ling Feng's expression did not move, and even his eyelids did not move. The next second, Gu Qing flew directly into the air, followed by the sound of bones being crushed, which made people's hair stand on end. Gu Qing's two arms drooped weakly, and only his head could move. The rest of his body was crushed into pieces by Ling Feng's mental power. Gu Qing's eyes were dull, and the skin on his face twitched from time to time. The faces of the other few people in the White God cult were full of fear at this time. They felt the same majesty in Ling Feng as the snow god, even more powerful than the snow god. Ling Feng glanced at these people, but did not take action, but looked at Wang Long. You will take care of these people later. He turned around and was about to leave. At this moment, Gu Qing's satellite phone rang. Grandpa, your grandson called you again. Grandpa, your grandson. Ling Feng paused, came to Gu Qing, and fumbled around him with his hands. Took out a mobile phone from his arms, and the snow god was displayed on the screen. Ling Feng smiled slightly and clicked the answer button directly. A majestic voice came from the other end of the phone. Gu Qing, how is the matter going? It's done well. Gu Qing really needs your help now, Ling Feng said with a joking face. The voice of the snow god on the other end of the phone was obviously stunned for a moment, and then said coldly, Who are you? I am your brother Feng. If you bring all the people of your White God cult to the god of war base to kowtow and admit your mistakes, I can consider sparing your life. The snow god was directly laughed at by Ling Feng's words. Hi, you must be Ling Feng. Very good. You have successfully ignited my anger. I will go find you. Then there was a crackling sound of electricity coming from Ling Feng's phone. Seeing the phone being hung up, Ling Feng shrugged. It's really funny. It's hung up now. At this time, in the snow god's palace, the snow god's face was full of anger. The twisted phone was thrown to the ground casually. In the empty room, the snow god took off his mask, and he didn't look majestic at all under the mask. He looked like a little old man, with an ugly appearance, and even a hint of vulgarity. Two small eyes rolling around. The snow god's original name was Koizumi Ichiro, a member of the Japanese Dragon Slayer Society. He sneaked into Dragon Country 20 years ago. In the past 20 years, he got married and had children in Dragon Country, and became an honest farmer. No one knew his Japanese identity. After being a farmer for 20 years, he didn't steal any valuable information. He thought he would live his whole life like this, but God bless him, he awakened his superpowers, and with his superpowers, he established the white divine religion and called himself the Snow God. After becoming the Snow God, he finally experienced the pleasure brought by power, and all resources and women were at his fingertips. Even the Dragon Slayer Society promoted him to a senior section chief. He wanted to use the power in his hands to quickly annex the surrounding forces and make the white divine religion the largest force nearby, so that the divine religion could serve as the base camp of the Dragon Slayer Society in Handong Province in the future, preparing for the future invasion of the Dragon Kingdom by the Empire. But at this time, Ling Feng appeared, which made his plan to invade Shanjing City fail and caused him heavy losses. When he thought of this, he was furious. God of War Base. Ichiro Koizumi repeated these 4 words with gritted teeth. Now he wanted to take his elite soldiers and generals to kill immediately and wipe out this God of War base from this world. But he quickly suppressed this idea. Ling Feng's strength is unknown. He is a cautious person. Otherwise, he would not have been lurking for decades without being exposed. Although he is a king-level superpower, there is more than one king level in this world, and the dragon people always like to hide their skills. Who knows if Ling Feng is a king-level superpower? Koizumi Ichiro thought for a moment, and then a wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He touched himself and found that his mobile phone had been broken by himself. He took out a mobile phone from under his pillow and dialed a number. In the God of War base, the top leaders of the God of War base gathered together to celebrate the successful completion of this operation. Ling Feng even gave generous rewards to each member of the God of War Brigade who participated in this operation. Each person had a box of instant noodles, 10 kilograms of pork, and 5 kilograms of beef. These are all real good things. In the end times, food is always the most important resource. These resources may not be a big deal for Ling Feng, but they are a generous reward for those team members. 50 tables of sumptuous banquets were set up in the square of the underground shelter, and all the team members had happy smiles on their faces. Not only because they received rewards, but most importantly, they won the first battle today. The superior superpowers were still vulnerable in their hands. Ling Feng sat at the main seat at a table in the middle of the venue, accepting everyone's toasts. Ling Feng also announced an important news. Our God of War base was too low-key before, so everyone thought we could be bullied at will. Starting tomorrow, we will start to expand outward. As soon as these words came out, the people at the table immediately put down their chopsticks. Fengzi, are we going to annex other bases? Wang Long's tone was a little excited. He had a group of troops that could sweep the world in his hands, and he couldn't bear it any longer. Ling Feng smiled and shook his head. We are not annexing in a barbaric way, but conquering in a civilized way. Everyone looked at him with confusion, not understanding the meaning of Ling Feng's words. What is the conquest of civilization? Du Yibai asked with a puzzled look on his face. Chapter 156. Ling Feng looked at everyone with puzzled expressions and said calmly, Our goal of going to Beijing this time is very simple. That is, to master the military management rights of all bases and not interfere with the management of other aspects of the bases. Then how can we master the military management rights? Ma Wu asked. It's very simple. We send a team to garrison, which can not only protect their safety, but also monitor their every move. In this way, these bases will lose their sovereignty, and they will not agree. Wang Long frowned and said. Ling Feng took a sip of wine, and his pupils shrank slightly. No one will refuse. If there is, then change the manager of the base. Everyone present heard what Ling Feng meant. Although some people thought it was very cruel, no one objected. Ling Feng's decision was absolutely correct at the God of War base. Everyone present could achieve their current achievements thanks to Ling Feng. Ling Feng seemed to have seen through everyone's thoughts and said solemnly, I know some of you don't agree with this decision, but this is something that has to be done. For a long time, We have only been able to passively defend because our management area is too small and information is blocked. Facing sudden enemies, we can only passively resist. If we can integrate the entire Shanjing city into an iron bucket, it will be completely different. Anyone who wants to invade us will have to think twice. And as long as the enemy enters Shanjing city, we can respond in the first time. The rest of the people nodded secretly after listening to Ling Feng's speech. The militant Wang Long said excitedly, "I agree. When do we start to act? I plan to let you and Lao Ma Bing split into two groups and start to push forward in the east and west directions of Shanjing city at the same time. But before that, I will let your strength increase again." The high-level officials of the God of War base were excited when they heard this. They have not been following Ling Feng for a long time, but their strength has changed dramatically. Killing psychics is easy for them, and super psychics can also be killed easily. According to this trend, the God of War base will sooner or later become the first base of Dragon Country. After discussing the business, the atmosphere at the wine table gradually became lively. Everyone chatted about family matters, tasted delicious food, and imagined a better future together. Qingzhou Lu family. In a secret laboratory, Lu Guanyu looked at the 100 artificial psychics in front of him with excitement. 1,000 people participated in this experiment, and only 100 people succeeded in the end. After several months of research and spending a lot of resources, it finally succeeded. Although these 100 people are artificial psychics, their strength is not inferior to ordinary psychics, but even better. They not only have strong physical fitness, but also have the ability to infect. As long as they are scratched or bitten by these psychics, they will become zombies without thinking ability. The only disadvantage is that this group of artificial psychics lacks certain thinking ability, and their appearance has been separated from humans. They have a body height of 3 meters, and their 2 arms have fully evolved. Their arms have all turned green, and their skin is full of wrinkled dead skin. 30 centimeters long nails are similar to animal nails. After mutation, the teeth become extremely sharp and exposed. Although this group of artificial superpowers has many shortcomings, Lu Guanyu is still very satisfied. With this fearless team of superpowers, their Lu family has an extra trump card, which can give the enemy a fatal blow at a critical moment. This time, the Lu family and the Kai family jointly sent troops to march into Shanjing city, and he did not intend to let the artificial superpowers follow. The experiment of artificial superpowers has been carried out in secret, and no one in the Lu family knows about this except him and Lu Neng. He will not expose this force until the critical moment. Lu Guanyu left the experimental base and came to Lu Neng's residence, ready to report the good news to Lu Neng. Seeing Lu Guanyu coming, the 2 guards saluted him respectfully. "Is the master here?" He looked at the 2 guards and asked calmly. "Master, the master is handling things inside." Lu Guanyu nodded and pushed the door open and walked in. Lu Neng, who was working on the construction, smiled slightly when he saw Lu Guanyu pushing the door in. "Guanyu is here. Please wait for me to finish the work at hand." Lu Guanyu sat casually on the sofa and looked at Lu Neng. Lu Neng seemed to be in a good mood today, with a hint of joy between his eyebrows. Soon Lu Neng finished the work at hand, got up and walked to the sofa next to Lu Guanyu and sat down. "Dad, what happened today? So happy." Lu Guanyu asked with some curiosity. "Ha, you figured it out. Recently, our Lu family has been receiving the materials from the storm base very smoothly. Now the food in our Lu family is enough to support our Lu family's consumption for 10 years. Not only that, the weapons seized this time are also very rich. The most valuable ones are the 50 armed helicopters. In the future, the strength of our Lu family will be even stronger." Lu Guanyu also had a smile on his face. Everything in the Lu family will belong to him in the future. The stronger the Lu family is, the more stable his position will be in the future. "Dad, I also have good news to tell you. The test was successful?" Lu Guanyu nodded with a smile. Great. It seems that today is a double happiness." Lu Neng laughed excitedly and couldn't help standing up and clapping his hands to celebrate. In the future, As long as we maintain a good relationship with the Dragon Slayer Society, Handong Province will not be controlled by our Lu family in the future. Even the Kai family will not be our opponent. Lu Guanyu couldn't help but nod in agreement. The Kai family can only gain a foothold in Jinling City with the help of the Japanese. In terms of strength, our Lu family is several times stronger than the Kai family. The Lu family should have the final say in Handong Province. Yes, the Kai family can be the dog of the Japanese, so why can't my Lu family be and do it better than them? Lu Nung said with high spirits. Dad, how are the arrangements for the two families to attack the God of War base this time? Lu Nung drank a cup of tea and said casually. It has been arranged. A total of 3,000 troops will be sent this time, and there will be 150 psychics, 3 super psychics, and strong men sent by the Dragon Slayer Society. In addition, there are many powerful weapons. This time, the troops will definitely kill Ling Feng without a burial place. Lu Ning's eyes turned cold, and murderous intent burst out. Lu Guanyu also had a cold expression. Ling Feng killed so many people in my Lu family. We can't kill him easily. We must make him live a life worse than death and regret coming to this world. Chapter 157. When will the coalition army set out this time? 3 days later. Set out on time at 9 a.m. This time I will lead the team in person, and you will be in charge of the overall situation at home. This is not only the best time to destroy the God of War base, but also the best time to annex the entire Shanjing city. Lu Ning took out a bunch of keys from the drawer and handed them to Lu Guanyu. This is the key to our Lu family warehouse. I give it to you for safekeeping today. It contains all the supplies of our entire Lu family. You must keep it well, Lu Nung said earnestly. Lu Guanyu nodded solemnly. God of War base. After the banquet, Ling Feng returned to the villa. He took out 4 top-grade inner pills from the space. These 4 inner pills were all crystals from superpowered people, containing very rich energy. Now Ling Feng's physique has reached a critical time. As long as he goes one step further, he can break through 5,000 points, and his body will usher in the second transformation. His strength will also be further improved. As long as his strength improves, he can use the precious blood in his body to improve the strength of others. He took out a slightly black inner pill. This inner pill belongs to Gu Qing, and the color is very different from other inner pills. The effects of the inner pill also made Ling Feng very excited. The source of all poisons. Release poison gas within a range of up to 1,000 meters around the body, and the poisoned person will be dissolved by the poison gas in a very short time. After seeing the explanation of this ability, Ling Feng immediately liked this ability. This ability is comparable to biological weapons and is very suitable for dealing with the Japanese. This group of greedy Japanese people should disappear from this world. Sooner or later, I will go to Japan. Ling Feng retracted his thoughts, picked up the inner pill, and swallowed it. The inner pill instantly turned into a stream of energy flowing into the body. Ling Feng felt that the strength of his body was slowly increasing, gradually approaching the 5,000 mark. Finally, at a certain moment, only a click sound was heard. Ling Feng felt as if a shackle in his body had been opened, and a strong stabbing pain instantly spread throughout his body. He could clearly feel that the bones in his body were breaking bit by bit, and the severe pain made his teeth almost broken. Then his muscles began to melt slowly, and Ling Feng collapsed on the ground like a puddle of mud. All his clothes were soaked with sweat. The whole process lasted for half an hour, and Ling Feng felt like half a century had passed. He almost couldn't hold on. Fortunately, he finally managed to hold on, and the pain in his body began to slowly disappear, and the bones in his body began to grow rapidly. Ling Feng found that his bones had undergone earth-shaking changes through introspection. There was a hint of light gold on the white bones, with a hint of mystery. It can be felt that the current bone density is very high, at least 10 times that of before. It can be said that his current body strength should not have a problem with withstanding a missile. In addition to bones, muscles are also growing again, and the gold component in the blood has also increased to 1/2. Ling Feng exerted a little force on his arm and could feel the explosive power hidden under his skin. Although his current physical fitness is about 5,400 points, the improvement he brought is far more than that. He brought about the evolution of the life level. The biggest gain of this transformation is not the body, but the brain. In the core area of the brain, the prototype of a white sphere the size of a peanut slowly formed. Before the upgrade, Ling Feng only felt that his brain was changing, but there was no actual change. This time, a white sphere appeared directly in the brain. And from the shape, this sphere has not yet been fully formed and needs further transformation. Ling Feng named it Brain Pill. After the formation of Brain Pill, Ling Feng can clearly feel that his mental control is more handy. Originally, he could only control objects within a range of 200 meters around him, but now it has reached 1,000 meters directly, and his control is stronger. In addition, his supernatural power has also greatly increased, and the gravity field has directly increased to 3,000 times, with a range of 1,000 meters. The teleportation ability can cross 1,000 meters at a time, ignoring any objects. The range of the source of all poisons that comes with the inner elixir is also expanded to 3,000 meters. It can be said that Ling Feng is a mobile biochemical matrix after activating the superpower. Ling Feng looked at the inner elixir of the other 3 superpowers in front of him and ate them all. The inner elixir of those ordinary superpowers is too small for him to improve, so he plans to let his subordinates use. After another half an hour, the energy in the body slowly disappeared, and Ling Feng's physical data finally stopped at 6,300 points. Ling Feng stood up and felt that he had endless strength now. He wanted to vent his body's energy now. He walked out of the villa and teleported directly to a low mountain next to the base. On the back of the low mountain was a cliff as high as 100 meters. Ling Feng came to the bottom of the cliff in a few jumps. There was no one here, so he could test his body's strength. Ling Feng looked at the towering villa in front of him. He took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. He gathered all his strength in his arms and clenched his fists. Roar! Ling Feng punched out, bringing a strong fist wind and smashing it on the hard cliff. Boom! With a loud bang, a cloud of dust instantly rose on the wall. After the dust cleared, a cave with a diameter of 5 meters and a depth of about 10 meters appeared on the wall. A 20-centimeter crack appeared on the entire cliff, extending from the bottom to the top of the cliff. Ling Feng looked at his masterpiece, and the corners of his mouth rose unconsciously. Even if I don't rely on superpowers now, I can blow up a king-level superpower with one punch, Ling Feng said with confidence. After testing his own strength, Ling Feng teleported back to the villa in the basement. He took out a large bowl and prepared to bleed. But he didn't need to use a dagger to cut his skin now, and no dagger could hurt him now. He stretched out his hands, and with a thought, a wound slowly appeared at the position of his wrist. After this transformation, his control over his body was enhanced, and he could control any part of his body. The precious blood with golden blood slowly dripped into the bowl, exuding bursts of strange fragrance, making people want to drink a sip. After the blood was full overnight, Ling Feng directly put it into the space for upgrading. Ling Feng looked at the full golden blood and was very excited. With this bowl of precious blood, the strength of the base will once again see a rapid increase. Chapter 158. Ling Feng brought the precious blood to the base command post, ready to let Wang Long take it to the team members as soon as possible to improve their strength. When passing by the research institute, he saw that the institute was still busy. Ling Feng looked at the time, and it was already past 10 o'clock in the evening. Unexpectedly, it was already the end of the world, and they were still so enthusiastic. Ling Feng secretly gave them a thumbs up. It was a good thing for Ling Feng that they worked hard. As a boss, there was no employee who didn't like to work overtime. Ling Feng pushed the door in and was ready to give them a boost and encourage them. Wang Jinan wore reading glasses and a lab coat. Although he was not young, he was still energetic. Some other young researchers showed more or less fatigue on their faces. Leader, you are here. A young man who was closest to Ling Feng saw Ling Feng coming in, and his expression was a little surprised. Ling Feng smiled and nodded. When the others heard the young man's voice, they all looked up in the direction of the door. Sure enough, they saw Ling Feng standing at the door. Everyone's face showed excitement. Now in the God of War base, Ling Feng is a godlike figure. He is not only the soul of the base, but also an important pillar of the base. If it weren't for Ling Feng, they would still be riding bicycles in the power generation department. How could they have the happy life they have now? Not only do they have no worries about food and clothing, but they also have a lofty status. Wang Jinan walked forward with excitement and shook Ling Feng's hand. "Chief, why are you here so late?" Ling Feng said seriously. "I heard that you work overtime so late every day, so I hurried over to see you. If you do this, I will criticize you, Mr. Wang." Wang Jinan looked a little panicked, and the others were also a little uneasy. Ling Feng is a powerful superpower and the highest combat power in the base. They still feel a little oppressive when facing Ling Feng. After all, as long as he has a thought, no one here will survive. "Chief, is there something we did not do well?" Wang Jinan said in a low voice. "You work too long every day. If you get tired, it will be a great loss for the base. Don't work overtime so late in the future," Ling Feng said in a reproachful tone. The people in the institute were deeply moved. They didn't expect the leader to be so good to them. Such a good boss is hard to find. Ling Feng continued. "I will tell Dewey Bai later and ask her to arrange for the canteen to provide you with midnight snacks every night. You have to eat something after working so late every day." Wang Jinan was moved to tears. He took off his glasses and kept wiping his tears. "Leader, I thank you on behalf of all the staff of our institute." He bowed deeply to Ling Feng. Ling Feng quickly helped him up and said with a moving expression, "Mr. Wang, I have to thank you very much. What you are doing now is a great cause, which is related to the food problem of our entire base, and even the whole world. The food in our base is decreasing day by day, and you have a heavy burden on your shoulders." After saying this, Ling Feng directly took out 20 boxes of instant noodles and 100 bags of bread from the space and put them on the table. "You can keep these supplies as midnight snacks at night. I have limited ability. This is the best thing I can provide you," Ling Feng said with some self-blame. Everyone present shed tears of emotion, and they secretly vowed to work hard and repay the leader. Ling Feng walked to the experimental table and asked, "Mr. Wang, how is our research progressing?" Wang Jinan came to Ling Feng and said excitedly, "The current progress is pretty good. We have made a breakthrough in the growth of wheat in extremely cold conditions. The seeds you provided to us are the best seeds I have ever seen. They are not only high yield, but also very cold resistant and disease resistant." Wang Jinan talked about his professional knowledge incessantly. With his super brain, Ling Feng soon had a preliminary understanding of wheat research. The upgraded seeds provided by Ling Feng have greatly helped their research work. "Mr. Wang, at this rate, how long will it take for us to produce results?" Ling Feng asked the question he wanted to know most. Wang Jinan pondered for a few seconds and said slowly, "In another 3 months, no, we will strive to produce results in 1 month." Wang Jinan said with a firm look in his eyes. Ling Feng was happy. It seemed that his chicken soup had worked, but he still showed a concerned look. "You can do research, but you must take care to rest." Ling Feng took out a glass bottle from his arms. "This is the diluted precious blood that can improve human constitution, but it will not make people feel uncomfortable. He prepared this specially for these scientific researchers. Without a strong body, how can they work 996? Ling Feng handed the glass bottle to Wang Jinan and said solemnly, "This is the latest nutrient solution developed by the base, which can enhance human immunity. Mr. Wang, you will let everyone take a little later. 1 drop per person is enough. Don't eat too much." Wang Jinan nodded heavily, his eyes red. "Okay, you continue to work. I won't disturb you." Ling Feng pushed the door and walked out after speaking. Wang Jinan's face was full of excitement in the laboratory. He walked to the front of the crowd and said loudly, "Everyone has also seen the leader's attention and care for us. We must not live up to the leader's expectations. I decided that we will work until 12 o'clock in the future. If others are tired, they can go home on their own. Teacher, I will work overtime with you. Let's make our own contributions to the development of the base together. A girl said with a firm look in her eyes. I also work overtime until 12 o'clock. I'm a single dog, so working all night is not a problem. I can live in a laboratory. Anyway, I have nothing to do. Everyone expressed their opinions. Wang Jinan nodded with great satisfaction, and at the same time, he was very pleased. They are worthy of being his students. Their hard-working spirit is very similar to his own. Since everyone is so enthusiastic, we will have to delay our working hours to 12 o'clock in the future. Now everyone starts queuing up to get the nutrient solution. Wang Jinan took out a dropper and began to distribute the nutrient solution, 1 drop per person. The first person in line was a thin, middle-aged man with sparse hair on his head and a pair of glasses on his face. After the middle-aged man took a drop of nutrient solution, he immediately felt a change in his mental state, and his originally relaxed muscles began to become tense. He seemed to have endless energy all over his body. The most amazing thing is that his myopia has actually healed. He touched his hair and found that fine hair began to grow on his head, which felt a little prickly. It's amazing! The middle-aged man couldn't help but exclaim loudly. Chapter 159. The others all looked at him. The middle-aged man smiled awkwardly, then said excitedly, "This nutrient solution is really amazing. My myopia is gone, and my hair is grown. I feel full of strength now. I can work for 2 days without sleeping for a whole day." The others looked at the middle-aged man's excitement, and they didn't seem to be lying. They lined up one by one, looking forward to any changes in themselves. After a while, excited voices came from the laboratory. My cold got better all of a sudden. I was weak all over before, but now I'm cured directly. It's amazing. My periarthritis of the shoulder is also healed. Great. My yang, it's healed. A man who was a little older also said excitedly. Wang Jinan also took a drop of nutrient solution and shouted, "Fuck me." He felt that he was a dozen years younger, and his presbyopia disappeared. Everyone present had a little more respect for Ling Feng. Ling Feng was so good to them. What reason did they have not to work overtime? Damn, I'm going to work overtime quietly to surprise everyone. Ling Feng, who was hiding at the door and eavesdropping, was so happy at this moment. Seeing his employees actively working overtime, as a boss, he was sincerely happy. The dragon-slaying boy finally turned into a dragon. He still lived the way he hated the most. Ling Feng sighed and continued to comfort the Weapon Research Institute, using the same rhetoric and routine. The employees of the Weapon Research Institute watched Ling Feng leave with tears in their eyes, and their enthusiasm for work was unprecedentedly high. Ling Feng walked through all the institutions in the command post of the entire base and gained a lot. After completing the work of getting excited, Ling Feng came to Wang Long's office. After pushing the door open, Ling Feng saw Wang Long lying on the sofa and snoring. He was so angry that he walked to Wang Long and shook him hard to wake him up. Wang Long opened his eyes sleepily and saw Ling Feng with an angry face, and immediately sat up from the sofa. He asked in a panicked tone, "What's wrong? What happened? Are the enemies coming?" Ling Feng took out his mobile phone and put it in front of Wang Long. "What time are you going to bed? How can you sleep? Can you sleep at your age?" Wang Long looked at Ling Feng with a confused face and said with a sad face, "No, brother, it's already 1 o'clock and you don't let me sleep. Even the donkey of the landlord's house is not like this. I just laid down for less than 10 minutes and you came. Go and see those people in the Research Institute. They're still working until now. As a senior executive, how can you sleep?" Ling Feng looked like he was disappointed with them. "What? They are crazy. Do they have to be so stubborn? They work so hard without overtime pay." Wang Long looked incredulous. "What you said is wrong. They are pursuing lofty ideals and are all for the better development of the base. Talking about material things is vulgar," Ling Feng said seriously. Wang Long gave Ling Feng a thumbs up with a look of admiration on his face. "Great, really great. Otherwise, you can be the leader of the base. Okay, stop talking nonsense and get down to business. Ling Feng lit a He Tian Xia and handed it to Wang Long, who was stunned. Wang Long grabbed the whole pack without hesitation and put it in his pocket. What's the matter? Wang Long blew a smoke ring and said lightly. Ling Feng took out a glass bottle with precious blood from the space and handed it to Wang Long. The latest one. Use it quickly, and let the team members use it quickly too. I can take them out tomorrow. Wang Long looked at the precious blood in his hand with joy and smiled. I can improve my strength again. I will let everyone use it early tomorrow morning. I plan to take 200 people and push all the way west. Lao Ma asked him to take 200 people to the east. Ling Feng nodded, explained the precautions to Wang Long, and returned to the villa. Ling Feng returned to the bedroom and did not find Lin Su. He guessed that Lin Su might be in the laboratory. He went to the basement again, but still did not find any trace of Lin Su. Ling Feng immediately felt a little uneasy. He searched all the rooms in the villa, but still did not find Lin Su. Ling Feng hurriedly took out his mobile phone to check the surveillance of the villa. Ling Feng started to check the records from the time he left the villa and finally saw something wrong at 12:50. In the surveillance video, Ling Feng discovered a strange black figure suddenly walked out from the wall of the villa. The figure was wearing a black cloak and a black mask on his face. So his face could not be seen clearly. The black figure first came upstairs and found nothing unusual, then came to the basement. After the man came to the basement, he was soon discovered by Lin Su. The two sides immediately fought together. The opponent had a ghostly figure and could be invisible. Lin Su fought very hard. However, the opponent did not get an advantage. Lin Su's last Tang sword chopped the Black Shadow's shoulder. The Black Shadow fled with injuries, and Lin Su chased him with the Tang sword in hand. The monitoring stopped here. Ling Feng was temporarily relieved. As long as Lin Su was okay. I don't know where this Black Shadow came from. He can be invisible and can pass through walls. This ability is really good. It is absolutely hard to defend against when used for sneak attacks and assassinations. I want this ability. Ling Feng walked outside the villa and found the Black Panther. At this time, the Black Panther was lying on the ground like a hill. He asked the Black Panther to shrink his body and take it to the basement. Black Panther, there is a stranger's scent here. Smell it carefully. Black Panther lowered his head, put his nose close to the ground, ran around the entire basement, and finally remembered the smell. Let's go. Take me to find this person. Black Panther ran outside the villa, and his body instantly became larger and returned to its original shape. Ling Feng jumped onto the back of the Black Panther, and patted the Black Panther's head. Black Panther disappeared from the spot like lightning, following the scent left by the man in black. After many transformations, Black Panther has now surpassed the king level. Not only does he have a super strong physique, he also has two superpowers, Sonic Attack and Fire Attack. Even if Wang Long faces Black Panther, he may not be able to win. Black Panther took Ling Feng across several hills, and finally walked out of Shanjing's territory and came to Jinghang City. Finally stopped on a hill, and Ling Feng, with his keen hearing, soon heard bursts of fighting sounds coming from below. Ling Feng then looked down the mountain and saw Lin Su. At this time, Lin Su was fighting with 5 black figures. Each of these people had a strong aura, and 2 of them even surpassed the level of superpowers. They should be king-level powers. At this time, Lin Su was in a difficult battle. Chapter 160. Lin Su held a Tang sword in hand, and her ghostly figure shuttled back and forth among the 5 people. The attacks of the 5 people could not touch Lin Su at all. But Lin Su was also very helpless at this time, and her attacks could not hurt them either. One of them had a very strange ability. No matter how sharp their attacks were, once they entered this person's body, they would all disappear without a trace. Don't waste your energy anymore. You are not our opponent. One of the superpowers said in a hoarse voice with a cold tone. Lin Su held the Tang sword horizontally in front of him, guarding against these people. Who are you, and why are you lurking in my house? Lin Su looked at the few people with a sharp look. Who is Ling Feng to you? The man did not answer her question, but asked a question in return. Lin Su did not speak, but directly used the storm power. In an instant, the battlefield was filled with raging winds, and a huge tornado surrounded Lin Su in the middle. The airflow around the tornado surged, and all the ice and snow on the ground were swept into the vortex with amazing power. The power that Lin Su used came from Lu Wu of the Lu family, but it was many times more powerful than his. Even a superpowered person would be ruthlessly strangled if he came into contact with it. The several men in black on the field were shocked when they saw the power that Lin Su used. They did not expect that this woman actually had a trick up her sleeve. If this tornado in front of him hit him, it would probably be difficult to resist. Although the turbulence outside was surging, the position standing in the center of the tornado was indeed very calm. Lin Sulian, who was standing in the center, did not move a hair. One of the men in black said to one of them, "Brother Jiu, we must have found the wrong person, right? That guy must have deceived us." Brother Jiu shook his head slightly and said confidently, "No, he doesn't dare to lie to me with his guts. He was indeed the person in charge of a farmer's market here before, so his words should be credible. Alas, it's just that we killed him too early. We should have brought him here to identify him in person." The man in black said with some regret, "It doesn't matter. I think this person must have a close relationship with Ling Feng. As long as we catch him, we will definitely find Ling Feng." Brother Jiu looked forward and said calmly. While the two were talking, Lin Su had already fought with the other three men in black. With the blessing of superpowers, Lin Su had a great advantage in the battle. Although the three men in black were all superpowered, once they got close to the tornado, they would be cut by the strong wind speed. Once they were injured, Lin Su would give them a fatal blow with a knife. Soon all three were injured and looked horrible. "Old Ten, don't waste any more time. Let's work together and take him down as soon as possible," the ninth brother said to the man in black next to him. "Okay, this woman looks very weak on the surface, but I didn't expect her strength to be so strong." Then he suddenly closed his eyes and began to activate his superpowers. The ninth brother also joined the battle of several people at this time. He quickly came to the front of the storm and waved gently at the storm. "Collect!" The next second, the tornado disappeared instantly, and the space that was just like a storm suddenly calmed down. Ling Feng, who had been watching the battle from a distance, had his pupils shrink slightly. Space power? This was the first time he encountered space power. He didn't expect that space power could be used in this way. He seemed to have opened the door to a new world. But it seemed that Lin Su was no match for these people. This space power was too unsolvable. Any attack could be taken away by him. But it was different when he met himself. He teleported directly, and the next second he appeared beside Lin Su. Seeing Ling Feng appear, Lin Su's face lit up, and the nervousness in her heart disappeared instantly. As long as Ling Feng was there, anyone would have to suffer in the Northwest. This was her unconditional trust in Ling Feng. "You are here. These people are looking for you. Be careful. That person's power is very strange." Ling Feng gave her a comforting look. "Don't worry. The person who can defeat your husband has not been born yet." Ling Feng waved his hand nonchalantly. Jilga looked at the man who suddenly appeared on the battlefield. He could confirm that this person appeared instantly and definitely not relying on speed. Teleport. He thought of this ability in an instant, and his teleportation distance was so far, at least several hundred meters. There were bare snow-capped mountains all around, and no one could hide there. "You are Ling Feng." Brother Jill looked at Ling Feng fiercely. "It's me. Who are you? What do you want from me?" Ling Feng spoke calmly, with a relaxed look on his face, and he was calm in the face of so many powerful people. "Listen, it said that you have more than 20 billion worth of supplies, so we came here to verify it," Zhou said coldly. Ling Feng was surprised by what this person said. How did he know that he had so many supplies? Did someone leak his information? Who did you hear that from? Ling Feng narrowed his eyes slightly, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Zhou smiled coldly. "It's Zhang Xingwang from Kiliga Farmer's Market. He was the person in charge of the market before. Do you remember him?" Ling Feng suddenly realized and remembered this person in his mind. It turned out that he leaked the information, so it's not surprising. Yes, I do have a lot of supplies. Why, do you want it? Ling Feng said with a joking look on his face. When Brother Jiu heard Ling Feng admitted himself, a trace of eagerness flashed through his eyes. It turned out to be true. Supplies worth 20 billion. This is a huge amount of supplies, enough to make any organization and base crazy. I won't take all of them. I only want 2/3 of the supplies. I can help you keep this secret. Ling Feng was immediately angry and laughed, and he laughed nonstop. Seeing Ling Feng was laughing all the time, Brother Jiu also laughed. How about it? My request is not too much. Ling Feng smiled and waved his hands. Not too much. Not too much. Not too much at all. I think I'll just give you all. But I have a lot of supplies. You guys can't take it, right? Brother Jiu said confidently after hearing this. Don't worry, I can take away any more supplies you have. You said you would give me all of them. You are not kidding. Ling Feng looked at him with disdain. Of course I was joking. Weren't you the one who joked with me first? Playing tricks on me? The expression of Brother Jiu suddenly turned cold. Ling Feng put away his smile and said in a cold tone, Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you negotiate with me? Brother Jiu's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and his face was covered with frost. You don't know how to behave. Anyway, I'll kill you, and the supplies will still be mine. Old Ten, do it. The two looked at each other and instantly understood each other's thoughts. Then they quickly attacked Ling Feng.